from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
India and Pakistan on the brink of war.
At least 8 people killed and dozens injured in retaliatory airstrikes on Pakistan following a rise in tensions in the region.
As Islamabad declares an act of war, could the decades-long conflict escalate into all-out war? Well, here's what President Trump thinks.
Been fighting for a long time. You know, they've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
The most significant trade deal since Brexit is signed with India. We'll be asking the government about that at 9 a.m. this morning.
The Conservatives published their first bill as the opposition party. They're backing tougher deportation rules, but they're falling short of calling to leave the ECHR.
I am changing the Conservative Party to be one that is tougher on immigration. We've come out with new policies, reducing the fast track for British citizenship, for example.
The conclave begins today. Cardinals from around the world will descend on the Vatican ahead of voting for the next pope.
The royal family continues to lead VE Day celebrations as a poppy artwork is displayed in central London.
Donald Trump meets with newly elected Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, but they're on different pages about Canada's future.
Met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months. It's not for sale, won't be for sale.
But never say never. Never say never.
What?
Now, I get this. We've all wanted to be train drivers, but would you be comfortable with an 18-year-old driving you on a train? Staff shortages reach a new low, and that's the situation. So if you're 18, you can now drive a train if you pass the test.
Maybe I'll take the car. In sport, it's already been called the greatest Champions League game ever as Inter Milan make it to the final after beating Barcelona 4-3 in extra time after being just 3 minutes away from going out. It's Arsenal's turn tonight. They go to Paris, currently 1-0 down to PSG. And in tennis, apparently Emma Raducanu is happy with her coach. For now.
Hello there, good morning. After a chilly start, many areas seeing a fine and pleasant day, though there is the risk of the odd shower. To find out where, stay tuned and I'll have all the details.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Wednesday morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast.
this idea of 18-year-olds driving trains, driving passenger trains, I'm not so sure.
I'm not so sure either.
Imagine how you'd feel standing on the platform and you see this teenager walk up the platform and then hop in there.
That's how they walk, isn't it? Those
Exactly like that. And then hop in the, what would you call it, the cabin?
Cab. The carrier.
The cab. Yeah. I'd say, oh no. No. I'll get the bus.
But I'll tell you what, they'll be driving trains next week, and then they'll be flying airplanes, and they'll be doing all sorts of things like that. And then you'll have nobody flying your airplane. That's what the actual airlines want. They don't want to have pilots.
You 18.
Yes.
So think of you 18.
I had a driving licence. And I got my first car at 18.
Yeah.
And in case you don't believe me,
I don't believe you.
The year is 1978. And this is me with my Fiat 124.
Wow.
Hey. I don't know whether to look at the car or look at you.
Wow.
But it was as proud as punch. I mean, the thing is, you're really, really proud. And I'm thinking that was a Sunday. I remember that being taken on a Sunday, and you really felt brilliant. Getting your test is difficult, and then you've got the car. The car cost me 550 quid. It just leaked water. It was a fate worse than death. But that was it, and it was a big thrill. Now, I would look back and I would say, what were your mistakes? I didn't drink, for instance, so that was good.
That's good.
So I was the taxi driver for almost everybody. But what I didn't have was a comprehension of speed, for instance.
Were you a boy racer?
No, but I just didn't have a comprehension of speed. I remember twice heading towards roundabouts with people in my car who I was bringing from a wedding, and I was driving my father's car at the time. And suddenly this massive big roundabout comes up, and you've no sense of speed, how to deal with it, how to slow up as you come to the roundabout, and you put on the brakes and the car slides right over. So I had a couple of scares.
Near misses.
No accidents, but a couple of scares. And I just don't think that mentally you are prepared at 18 for all eventualities.
Also, I do have a question, and that's if we can see that picture again on the front of the car, where you've got those lights you've got little covers over them.
Yes.
Can we see that? What
rally lights.
Do you actually take those? Do you take those covers off?
Yeah. So, no, you're right. No, I think it's there for look. It was there were Go Faster stripes on it.
See, I had a Fiat 126.
You are a boy racer then, aren't you?
I had a Fiat 126, and it was someone actually came up to me. I remember my dad's friend said, "Oh, have you got another roller skate to go with that one?" And it was so small, he used to start the engine by pulling a little handle, and it had a big white stripe down the side. And I was like,
the Go Faster stripes.
Yeah.
But the 126 is a very small car. It was like
very
a
small
child's car.
Yeah, they are. They're about this big. About that big.
Yeah.
I have a question about that photo, if we can get it up again. Why are you in a waistcoat and a tie?
I think I'd just come from church.
Well, that's very respectful and smart.
Yeah, it was a Sunday.
You'd wear a full suit?
Yeah.
And he got there very, very quickly.
So they are, and their mum would have had a big Sunday dinner that day. So that was what...
and he thought, I'm going to have a photo shoot with the car outside.
Yeah, but you see, that's the thing about boys and cars.
It is the thing about boys and cars.
I would have pictures of every car I ever had. I could tell you every car I ever had.
I wasn't. I was never a car guy at all.
You're
As you can tell,
guy.
I had a Fiat 126. That was the reason. I knew red cars and blue cars and never really got into the car thing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I've never got out of the car thing, except this injury that I have at the minute means that I can't do much with them. But
still got a nice car though.
Yeah.
Do my best. Do my best.
I mean, turning up in a Ferrari, is it really necessary? I mean, is it really?
Your stories, do you remember what you were doing at 18, if you were driving or not? Were you capable of driving? Is it a good idea or a bad idea to give train licences now to operators who would, pilots who would drive these trains?
Yeah.
So there we are. Let us know, and we'll talk about that later in the programme.
Now, to our top story this morning, and India has launched airstrikes on Pakistan overnight, bringing the two nuclear-armed nations to the brink of war.
Now, this is the latest in a series of escalations between the two countries that all started when India accused Pakistan of orchestrating an attack on the Kashmir region last month. 26 people died in that attack.
Well, the two countries have fought several wars over Kashmir since it was partitioned in 1949.
Well, meanwhile, back in Britain, the UK and India have agreed to a landmark trade deal. Now, the deal is set to make it easier for British firms to export whisky, cars and other products to India and cut taxes on clothing coming in from India and footwear.
Well, India's Prime Minister says his country has concluded an ambitious and mutually beneficial free trade agreement with the UK.
OK, have they? What does political commentator Charlie Rowley think of this one?
Good morning. Well, first of all, on the strikes, I mean, obviously escalating conflict anywhere in the world is obviously bad news, but it becomes even more so when you've got two countries that have nuclear powers. That's why I think there's so much global attention to this conflict. It's on the back of, as you say, an attack by militants. That took place a couple of weeks ago when 9 people in India were killed. That was militants from Pakistan. Now, whether the Pakistani government were involved or not, that's why India have retaliated in the way that they have last night. Pakistan, on the back of those airstrikes, calling this an act of war. So tension is ramping up. The language is getting more fruity. Donald Trump, as we saw in that opening clip there, has got involved to say this has been going on for some time, and he might fancy himself as someone to come in and try and de-escalate it, as he has tried.
He hasn't a clue.
In the Middle East.
This is very important. They've fought for a long time. They've fought for weeks, for months. For years, for centuries. So shut up.
It was slightly freelancing here, not the sort of usual statement you'd expect from a world leader or the leader of the free world to say why it's happening and what the US, if they're going to do anything about it or not. So that raises even more questions and probably even more tensions and fears.
Are you worried that there's going to be tensions here in Britain? There's a large Indian population here, large Pakistani population here.
Yeah, and I think when your nationalist patriotic streak runs high and you see across, the world, your own country under attack, particularly a conflict that's been going on for such a long time, it does increase tensions. And we have so many people from those particular countries here in the UK, as we saw a couple of weeks ago, those protests spill out onto the streets. I think there's got to be ramped up security. There's got to be ramped up, I think, policing to de-escalate any tensions falling out, whether it's on the streets of London or elsewhere.
What do you make of this new trade deal that we've signed with India? Is this a good deal or a bad deal?
Well, I think...
what deal? What is it, what... So they sell us a lot of flip-flops, and what do? We take a lot of people to work in Indian restaurants.
Well, I think that's part of the problem. I mean, it's heralded as a good deal because I think the Prime Minister and the Labour Party, obviously looking to, have a good story to tell about the economy, will say that this deal raises, I think, about 4.8 billion in terms of the UK economy. That's something that they'll want to shout about. Interestingly enough, yesterday, Kemi Badenoch said that when she was Trade Secretary, it was a deal that was on her desk. She rejected it because of the issue around national insurance. So there's a deal now between the UK and India. If there are UK companies that employ people from India, they can come into the UK, they can work for 3 years without paying national insurance.
But Charlie, I'm just trying to see how we benefit from Indians coming to this country and not paying national insurance. So I want to know what's exciting about that.
So I think the reciprocal arrangement of allowing UK nationals to go and work in India and not pay national insurance and have that reciprocal arrangement here, not only does that allow the individuals to pay their national insurance still back home, so it's not the government will say that you're not losing out, you're not losing, and you're not paying double. So if I was as a UK national, if I was working for an Indian company, I wouldn't be paying their tax as well as my taxes back home on a temporary basis because I'm not there for the long term. There's an element of that, but it's also that the trade, I think they're trying to suggest what is exported into the UK. There won't be the kind of tariffs that you've seen Donald Trump lay across the world in terms of the US. So they'll say that it's a good deal, but it's a deal that even though you can increase your exports and you can increase trading relations between the UK and India, does it undercut the market for British workers? Who in the UK, if you can employ somebody from India, and you as an employee can say, right, well, if I don't have to pay national insurance because I've already had to have that hike that was put on last year, I'm going to employ someone, take on that opportunity for somebody coming from India rather than someone sitting at home in the UK that could do with a job, whether it's in a factory, whether it's in a restaurant, whether it's in a business that they're recruiting.
But you see, I still don't understand why does the Indian community in this country want to employ Indians? Now, I can totally get it if it's very hard, apparently, to retain people in the food industry, in the restaurant industry. I totally get that. That's that's fine. But why would you want to choose someone from India over someone from, Scotland?
Well, I think that's a great question. I think that undermines maybe the whole headline of the deal, that even though it might be an economic benefit, it might generate those billions because of the trade deal. If you are a UK-based company in India, you would want to, I would have thought, employ local people to strengthen that relationship. Similarly, if you're an India-based company in the UK, you would want to employ British people, people from the UK, in order to ensure that those ties are strengthened. All that's happened, it seems to me, is that, as you say, you're going to allow that Indian company in the UK to employ more people from India to not pay national insurance, which undermines, I think, the whole essence of the trading deal, and doesn't sound good headlines. It plays into people like Nigel Farage and Reform.
I just think as the morning goes on, and you're going to be back after 7 o'clock today, I just want somebody, whether it's politicians or whether it is members of the public, you watching at home there and listening at home, and saying, this is how it would benefit you, this is how it would benefit your community, this is how it benefits our country. Because I accept I'm not the smartest card in the deck, but I just sort of think, well, I don't know why everybody's getting excited over this, But anyway...
It's a great question for the Business Secretary at 9:05 this morning. We can ask him how this is going to benefit Britons and British businesses as well. Charlie, thank you.
For the moment, thank you, Charlie. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, the process to elect a new pontiff after the death of Pope Francis begins today.
Catholic cardinals are descending on the Vatican. I think they're already there.
Yeah.
To start, yes, exactly.
I'm really excited about this.
Are you?
Yeah. Are you?
I think it's a massive thing in history.
Huge.
Yeah. I think that they've been there for a week or so they're not descending on anything and anywhere. But the conclave, I think they could start registering a vote by mid-afternoon.
Yeah, 3 p.m.
Today. A two-third majority is required to elect a new pope, but a result is extremely unlikely today. No pope has been elected on the first day of a conclave for as long as that war has been going on between India and Pakistan.
Yeah, centuries. Well, we're now joined by Catholic commentator Caroline Farrow. Good to see you this morning, Caroline. And this is one of the most secretive processes in history, isn't it? It's fascinating, the conclave.
Yes, it is. Good morning. It's very exciting. So, yes, it is extremely secretive. And in fact, they've been sweeping the Sistine Chapel, making sure that there's no bugging, there's no telecommunications devices. All the cardinals who will be in the conclave are having to take a very solemn oath and vow of secrecy, that they're not going to share anything that's discussed. And in fact, breaking that vow of secrecy comes with a sentence of excommunication, which is the most grave penalty that the Church can offer. So that's sort of the first thing that happens when they process in around about 4 o'clock. Well, I think it'll be 3 o'clock UK time. It's 4 o'clock Vatican time that they'll process in, and then the Dean of the College of Cardinals will say exit omnes, which means everybody out. The doors will be sealed. I don't know if you know if the word conclave means with key, which is where the term comes from, the Latin, con with, clave key. And then they'll begin voting. And the first vote is expected, as Eamonn said, to take place around about 4 o'clock. So that's, again, bear in mind they're an hour ahead. That's 3 o'clock our time. And we can expect to see the first smoke at around 5 p.m. This evening. And it's, as you said, it's likely to be black smoke. It's very unlikely that they'll have unanimity on a candidate this evening. And then voting really begins in earnest tomorrow. So there'll be 4 rounds of voting a day. I think it's 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, until we have a candidate.
Is there talk, Caroline? Are you hearing anything about where that candidate is likely to emerge from, what the conclave is looking for?
It's a very interesting question, and I would always preface that with a caveat. There's a saying, he who goes into the conclave as Pope comes out as a cardinal. I mean, we've got some, various runners and riders, and it's difficult to know whether or not the conclave is going to go for a continuity candidate, someone who very much wants to follow Pope Francis' footsteps, and there's a number of people like that. Say, for example, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, who's the Vatican Secretary of State. He was the favourite. He was Francis' number 2. He was sort of essentially like the Prime Minister of the Holy See. He's very diplomatic. He's experienced. He's fluent in multiple languages, and he's, the top continuity candidate, but he might be seen as kind of too institutional or politically cautious. So, yeah, he's one. Or, there's another front rider emerging who I just think has a lovely name. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, Cardinal Pier Battista Pizzaballa. And everyone keeps saying, if he's elected, he should take the papal name John, because then he'd be like Papa John. And he's been the... Exactly. And he's been overseeing, he's been in charge, he's the Archbishop, the Cardinal in Jerusalem in the Holy Land. And he very famously, after October the 8th, offered to trade places. He said, take me and release the hostages. And he's got so that's really enamored him, to many people, because that was such an act of deep courage and sacrifice. He's got a deep knowledge of interfaith dialogue, particularly with Jews and Muslims, having been in the Holy Land. So that could be seen as advantageous. He's again known for his deep humility and courage. And he's quite young as well. So if he were elected, we'd be looking at a long papacy. So it's whether or not the cardinals want to go for somebody that they know will be the Pope for a very long time, or whether or not they want to go for someone who's older, who maybe won't be around all that long. Just because Francis was such a reforming Pope, I think it all rides on whether or not they want to, carry on with that, or there's a lot of talk about whether or not they want to go for a more conservative candidate.
Oh, it's so exciting and intriguing.
I'm so
the politics of it all. Caroline, I know it keeps you very, very busy. We appreciate your time today and giving us an insight into what will happen.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we are definitely going to be on Smoke Watch, aren't we, for the next few days?
Yeah, definitely.
Black smoke or white smoke. If you want to keep up to date with all of the latest on the conclave throughout the day, you can scan the QR code on your screen now, or you can head to GBN2 on YouTube. And it's going to be a huge moment when we finally do see that white smoke coming out the Sistine
you
Chapel.
got to meet some of the hopefuls or people that could actually qualify.
It was very funny, actually, that experience.
Yeah.
Trying to talk to the cardinals. It's almost as if they've taken a vow of silence. So they would walk through St. Peter's Square and the world's media would just mob them. We'd all be running alongside them saying, what's it going to be like at the conclave?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be the next pope? Of course they all do. But they don't say anything. They just go, I cannot speak. But it is one of the most secretive processes in history.
I think we should have an Irish pope.
I think that would be lovely.
Yeah, I think the Irish should be very, very good in that job. But you've got to think about third world countries, Africa, South America, whatever, again, and how they would be represented.
And places where Catholicism is on the rise.
Yeah.
That would be good. I mean, a Filipino pope would be really interesting.
Interesting.
Really interesting.
A lot of Filipinos.
Yeah. And they're great singers,
What are they?
Filipinos. So it'd be great in Mass. They'd sing the hymns really well. Or they might go back to traditional roots and pick an Italian. Because if you think, we've had an Argentinian, we've had a German, we've had a Polish pope. Haven't had an Italian pope in ages.
I think it'll be somebody different. I don't think they'll go back to the traditional, but who knows? Who knows?
My money's on a Filipino cardinal. But anyway, let us know what you think. gbnews.com/you'll-say.
It's a good suggestion, yeah.
Thank you.
Other stories that you're waking up to on this Wednesday morning. King Charles has attended the world premiere of David Attenborough's latest documentary, Ocean, at Royal Festival Hall last night. It includes dramatic footage of the harm fishing does to the environment, as well as highlighting the wonder of natural habitats. I mean, it is absolutely incredible to see how heavy industrial fishing is destroying the ocean, how important the ocean is. Sir David's 99, and he says, after almost 100 years on the planet, and I understand the most important place on Earth is not on land, but at sea.
The Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada is not for sale after he met with the US President Donald Trump at the White House. The two nations are currently in a trade war that's frayed bilateral relations. Speaking from the Oval Office, Mr. Trump said, "We're going to be friends with Canada, regardless of that current row on tariffs."
And as we've been talking about this morning, your next train could be driven by a teenager. After the Department of Transport announced that 18-year-olds will be allowed to drive trains because of continuing and increasing staff shortages. The average age of a British train driver is 48, okay? While 30% are due to reach retirement age in another 4 years' time. But, you know, when I was young, it was always put about that, you know, it was every boy's dream to be a
train driver.
Yeah.
Was it your dream?
No.
Okay, not you.
No, it wasn't for me. I was more into cars. But fascinating, and will it be, and is it, and what is the attraction of being a train driver? Average driver, 48 years of age.
Yeah, well, let us know what you think on that one. gbnews.com/you'll say. Would you trust a teenager to drive your train? Should we get a check on the weather now? With honour.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It could be quite a chilly start today, but otherwise warming up nicely, leaving most places fine and dry, though eastern areas could still feel a little bit of a chill. That's all thanks to a northeasterly flow of air, at times dragging in some cloud, possibly some showers, particularly around North Sea coasts, and later on across central and southern parts, where it could be quite breezy for a time across southern coasts, but otherwise a largely dry and pleasant day ahead, and feeling fairly warm in the sunshine for many, highs around 19 to 20 degrees Celsius, but always that bit cooler around North Sea coasts, particularly in the breeze. Then to finish off the day across Scotland, once again remaining largely dry. There could still be a fair amount of cloud, particularly across the very far north of Scotland. Shetland, for example, still at risk of a shower, but otherwise a mix of cloud and clear spells to end the day. And it should be a fairly clear end to the day too across Northern Ireland. But northern, central parts of England, perhaps parts of the south, could see a bit more cloud. And there's still the chance of the odd shower, particularly moving into parts of East Anglia, eastern parts of England still to end the day. But overall, overnight, we've still got high pressure dominating, fairly light winds, so it's going to be a mix of cloud and clear spells. But under the clearest of skies, that is where we're going to see temperatures dip away, particularly across Scotland, moving into the low single figures here. But across central and southern areas, a bit more cloud, so temperatures not falling away quite as much. So some low cloud potentially to start as we head into Thursday, but clearing up nicely through the morning, allowing plenty more sunshine across the south central areas. Probably a brighter day compared to today, but across northern areas, parts of Scotland, still once again a fair amount of cloud, and once again a chance this could be thick enough to produce the odd shower, but fairly similar temperatures, so still feeling pleasant in the sunshine, highs of 19 to 20 degrees Celsius.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
OK, so Donald Trump, he met up with the Canadian Prime Minister yesterday at the White House. He wants Canada. They don't want to give it to him. Obviously not. More on that right after this.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date. Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Look, can we talk about something else? Can we talk about sport, for instance?
Well, first we're going to do our daily reflection.
Oh, are we?
We are.
Right, well, I was just a point with you. Right, now, we're here to talk about sport. We're not talking about train drivers anymore.
Right. OK.
But you think there is somebody who's 18 and could be qualified to drive a train?
Do I think someone could be 18 and...
You do think? You've just talked to me about it.
No,
anyway,
there's...
We'll talk more about it as you have the daily reflection. Here we go.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
I'm Mark Wilson, a Church of England vicar in West Bromwich. When I was younger, I got lost in Liverpool. I was with my dad at the shops, and they were busy. And I didn't know where my dad was. I must have cried out because someone found me and took me to the police. Apparently, it took me months for me to trust my dad again to take me out without having reins on. To be lost is an awful feeling. The thing is, like a sheep that is useless when lost, so was I when I was in Liverpool. I couldn't protect myself. Neither can a sheep. When Jesus crossed the river in Matthew 25, he saw a crowd coming to him like sheep without a shepherd. They were lost, and his heart melted for them. He wanted to give them the protection that they needed, for them to come to him. To be lost is rubbish. But I do remember I was so happy when I saw my dad again in Liverpool. To be lost is horrible, but to be found is wonderful. Even though when I was in Liverpool, I'm sure my dad lost me twice, but he still denies it.
Very good. Also very good, Mr. Paul with the latest sports news.
I tell you, last night in the Champions League, what a game. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
People are saying, some people, I mean, I'd say that Spurs against Ajax was the greatest Champions League semi-final ever.
But United against Bayern.
OK, United against Bayern, Spurs against Ajax, maybe Liverpool against Real Madrid.
Absolutely.
Another
See
one.
that Liverpool-Real Madrid? I was in Portugal at the time.
Were you?
Yeah, and some people had asked me out, and I thought, I was watching the match, and Liverpool were 3-0 down or whatever it is at half-time.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'll go out with them. I could not believe that result.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Incredible. But Inter Milan 4, Barcelona 3 yesterday. 7-6 on aggregate. I'm going to talk you through it very as quickly as I possibly can. Inter went 1-0 up. This is at the San Siro. Then Inter go 2-0 up with a penalty and injury time before the end of the half. So it looks like they're going to be fine. Then 54th minute, Barcelona score. It's 2-1. Then in the 60th minute, Barcelona score. We're currently at 2-2. So then on we go. 87th minute. Barcelona score to go 3-2 up. 3 goals they've scored in the second half. Looks like it's all done. This is Rafinha, you remember he used to play at Leeds. Then in the 93rd minute, Inter equalise. Francesco Acerbi, first goal he scored in Europe. He's aged 37 years old. So it goes in all level. Extra time, Inter Milan substitute David Fratesi scores the winner. It ended at 11:38 p.m. local time.
That is dramatic.
You know what it was? It was a ding-dong. That's what it was. It was a ding-dong. And the final would be in Munich on the 31st of May. So now it's Inter Milan against either Arsenal or Paris Saint-Germain, who play tonight.
OK. Well, you've built that one up well. And
you know what? I got a little overexcited, I think, this time.
Would you give Arsenal any chance?
Absolutely do.
You would?
Yeah, absolutely. I think PSG are favourites. They're 1-0 up, PSG, and they won at the Emirates. But Arsenal, if they do something like they did against Real Madrid, I mean, they beat them home and away. Who knows? Who knows? Declan Rice, we're fans of Declan Rice.
We like Declan Rice.
We do like Declan Rice. So what I thought we'd do is probably have a little Declan Rice instead of Captain Black. But Declan Rice, you know, he said what he thinks Arsenal need to win the game.
A semi-final, it's set up for someone else, you know, to maybe get that magic moment. Hopefully it's me again, but you're going to need a moment of magic to win a game, and as a team, you know, we're going to need that. So, yeah, tomorrow night, hopefully we can deliver something special. We need to have big balls, and we need to go out there on the biggest stage and show that we're ready to play at this level.
So there you go.
Declan.
So you need magic and you need big balls to win. That's what Declan said. That's what he was saying. By the way, the red and the green, you know what it reminded me of?
What?
It was the old Tommy Cooper thing. Do you remember he used to be on one side and then so it's like you can have the red that side or have the green on that side. That's just...
Oh, very good. There was a very good programme on last night about Dad's Army at the BBC.
So you love Dad's Army,
doing all sorts of different shows. Not Dad's Army itself, but the cast and crew appearing, being interviewed and doing different presentations. Very nice. Very
you know
good.
what I learned? I'm going to just quickly do this. You know what I learned the other day, and I had no idea? The theme from Dad's Army, you know, with the Bud Flanagan, who do you think?
Yes.
I always assumed that was a really old song.
No. It was written specially for the programme.
It was written in an old style for the show, sung by Bud Flanagan. I had no idea.
But a gem.
An absolute gem.
Absolute gem. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Coity.
Thank you.
Now, imagine where you could be going this summer if you won our biggest ever Great British giveaway.
Yes, and you could probably be driving there if you won our competition. Have a look at this.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
That links us very neatly on to travel. If you've got a vehicle to take out on the roads, here's what the roads are doing.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Currently, there is no exit from the M90 northbound to the A912 at junction 10 due to a road traffic incident. Motorists are advised to use alternative routes and allocate more time for their journey. On the M4 eastbound, between junction 23 at Rogier and junction 22 at Pilning and the Prince of Wales Bridge, resurfacing work is underway, necessitating bridge closure. Diversions are in place to help manage traffic flow. Travellers are encouraged to seek alternative pathways and be mindful of potential delays. Stay updated at gbnews.com. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Now do stay with us. Still to come, it's time to go through the papers with Claire Muldoon and Norman Baker. And look, they're even matching in their yellow this morning. See you in a couple of minutes, guys.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At DB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
So we have got Norman Baker and we've got Claire Muldoon, two of our favourite newspaper reviewers here this morning.
You see that every day.
Oh.
Monday through to Wednesday.
Yes,
Whoever's sitting near you will see it.
That's reserved for you two.
But I tell you, it's interesting to get your take on certain stories, and here's one on the front of the Sun today, and I was going through it with Ellie earlier, and it just makes me sick. It really makes me sick. It's about Madeleine McCann here and this guy who they suspect of being, how would you say, because he's been found guilty of nothing, but they expect him linked to her death. But he had vile, kidnap, fantasies about children. It's just a very small blonde girl I'm thinking about. I'm in paradise. You see, I don't care if he's guilty or innocent or not. I just want to go and beat his head in after reading that.
But Christian Bruckner has been known to the authorities for being an absolutely evil, abhorrent man, OK? But we have to... I mean, I still don't know why Madeleine McCann is giving Colin inches. She's not the only child that ever disappeared, OK? She's not the only child's parents who have gone through hell, still continue to go through hell and not know what's happened to their daughter. But, however, The Sun have got this exposé because there's a Channel 4 documentary tonight. That's why it's back in the news. Maddie, the unseen evidence, the headline is. A very small blonde girl, as you said, Eamonn, I'm in paradise. I don't think anyone ever thought that Christian Bruckner was a paradigm of virtue and someone that had to be held up high. If the evidence is there, why has it taken so long to get any conviction? And why is it rearing its ugly head now? That's what I want to know.
I would just say picking up one of Claire's points, one of the most moving things I did as a Home Office Minister was to go to an annual event at St Martin's in the Field Church in Trafalgar Square, where you gathered together all the parents of kids who'd gone missing and nobody knew where they were. And as Claire says, it's quite right, there are a huge number of kids, I'm afraid, who've never been found. No one knows what's happened to them. And I think it was terribly sad and moving because, you know, it's bad enough to lose a child, but to have a child disappear and not know what's happened to them is absolutely torture for parents.
And the amount of money that this case still gets that's publicly funded is... I just can't quite get my head around it, to be honest with you.
Norman, let's take a look at this story, shall we? Mark Carney was sitting down with Trump yesterday in the Oval Office. Actually very cosy scenes between them both, wasn't it?
Well, it was cosy to a degree. I mean, I think they both were on their best behaviour. And they both...
Well, Trump had his hand on Carney's knee at one point.
Well, yes, he did. And I think it was a little unnecessary, personally. But, I mean, Carney said Canada's not for sale. And I think it has been insulting of Trump to talk about Canada's the 51st state. And when Trudeau was there, calling him the governor rather than the Prime Minister and that sort of stuff. So, I mean, and clearly Trump is responsible, in my view, for Carney being elected in Canada because the Tories, the Conservatives...
If I'd have been Carney, the first thing I'd have said to Trump was, thanks.
Well, exactly. That's exactly what the position was. So, I mean, Trump has scored an own goal there, and in Australia as well, by the way, where the Labour Party's got back in Australia. So his foreign affairs technique isn't being terribly successful. So it was friendly after a fashion. Trump will not let go of this idea of Canada being the 51st state, and also there was no progress really on tariffs.
I would rather Canada be the 51st state instead of us.
I think neither of us should be the 51st state.
OK, guys, we'll just take a short break and we'll be back with more papers right after this and after we show you where the sun is shining throughout Europe if you're thinking of heading off.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
An unsettled spell across parts of Europe, particularly across the Alps and southeastern Europe, where they're going to experience heavy showers and thunderstorms over the next few days. An area of low pressure could drag in some showers later across Madeira and Tenerife. Plenty of showers across Portugal and Spain, but it's really across the Alps, southeastern parts of Europe, where these showers are going to be particularly heavy and possibly thundery. Now, it should be largely dry across Greece and largely dry for all from Sunday, with temperatures in the low 20s, so feeling pleasant in the sunshine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
A monumental breakthrough. Scientists have revealed that they've found strong evidence of alien life. just 124 light years away.
Which is quite far, isn't it? Astronomers from Cambridge University have detected signs of molecules that do indicate life, so we may not be alone after all.
Well, joining us now to explain what on earth this exciting story is, the astronomer and broadcaster Mark Thompson joins us. Mark, just how important is this discovery?
Well, it's incredibly important. For so many years now, we've been looking for some signs that we're not alone in the universe. The universe is a massive place. It's often been said that there's more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on Earth. So, it's a big place. And to think that we're the only intelligent species in the entire cosmos is difficult to understand. And the discovery that's just been announced is that there's something called dimethyl sulfide, which is an element made of hydrogen, carbon and sulfur, which at the moment we think the only possible way that could be there is through some form of primitive living organisms.
So this is because it's a very complicated gas to sort of combine together. There's no way there could be some sort of volcano churning this stuff out. It has to be some sort of biological life form as the most likely explanation.
Yeah, absolutely. There are other elements, but this particular element, dimethyl sulfide, at the moment, the only process we know of that can produce it is life. Now, of course, we're still in early stages of this discovery, and we still need to do a lot of work to see if there's any other processes we can identify that can produce it. But for now, the only thing we know of is life, and so the only explanation, therefore, is that it's life. But it is still early days.
GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
We've got Claire Muldoon and we've got Norman Baker, and they're here talking about stories that are in the papers today. And one of Norman's big interests, as a matter of fact, he'll be on a train today, is trains. And you were a transport minister, yes?
I was a rail minister, yes.
The rail minister. Mm. So the proposal now is the average age of a train driver is 48. They can't attract people, they say, to be train drivers. I don't know why, since all the big row over pay recently was how much train drivers are paid. I don't know why it wouldn't be
Well, I don't know why, because actually train drivers are very well paid, and the reason for that is privatisation, because what happened at privatisation was that before the British Rail had been one salary band, and after privatisation what happened was that individual companies were able to pay their own rates, and because of that they found it cheaper to poach somebody else from another company rather than spend the time training somebody. So the rates went up to poach because that was financially sensible for the company to do that. So that's why the shortage has risen. But in terms of the proposal to 18-year-olds, I think I'll be counterintuitive for you, Eamonn, because I don't have an objection to that, because the issue is what is the training period and what do they have to go through and what are the safety mechanisms on the train. And trains are much safer these days than they used to be, and to some extent
automatic.
Automatic, yes. Yeah. And of course, you've always had dead man's handle, where if you let go of the handle, the train stops. So those safety features are built in. The signalling systems are a lot safer than they used to be. And there's a very, very long training period when you go out as a new driver, or want to be a new driver, with somebody else to learn the route. You can only go on particular routes. And as far as 18-year-olds are concerned, they do actually drive buses. That happens now. They're entitled to drive buses.
But that's all very well. But if the tracks aren't maintained, if the tracks don't go, if the trains aren't operational, then it's all... I
think the point I'm making is that, bearing in mind what you're saying there about the other factors, if you're mentally... At 18, are you mentally there for everything? I was showing this picture of me and my first car, and I was 18 years of age. Let's see this picture, guys. And 18 years of age. Have we got this picture? Right, and basically I was saying, right, I could do it, but I knew I wasn't mentally prepared for certain circumstances and things.
Here we are.
And things that I wasn't mature enough. I would have needed another couple of years. That's just what I was saying. But then people were flying Spitfires and Lancaster bombers and things in the Second World War.
I passed my driver's test at 17, actually. And not many of my colleagues did at the time. Yeah. So I was quite... and I was probably not ready for 6 months, to be honest with you. The first 6 months I was a bit ropey.
Did you want to be a train driver?
I did, I'm afraid. When I was about 12, I did,
Yeah.
But I think these days there's so little flexibility now for a train driver, because in the old days, you could, if you're a train driver in the old trains, you could speed and get away with it. Nowadays, they know back at head office from the electrics what speed you're doing, and if you go over the speed limit, for example, in a train driver, then you're cautioned and you're warned about it.
And that's why we're close to the point, whether it's flying a plane or driving a train, where it will be automatic. Nobody will be doing it.
Well, I'm watching a brilliant programme on BBC One just now called Race Across the World.
Yes,
right? And it's fantastic.
Great programme.
And it's based in China. This whole thing is based in China. Driverless trains, they run at 300 kilometres per hour.
Do they?
And they work.
They do, yeah.
Gosh.
Maybe
I
that's
think
the way
that
we
is
should
the
go.
future. I think it's the future.
Well, they all work until they don't work.
Well, they all work until the track's not maintained.
Yes.
Well, the track is, to be fair, the track is maintained. Let's be quite clear. There are fewer than...
Norman, it's not.
It is.
Leaves on the tracks, water in the tracks. We can't run trains.
We can run trains.
Different type, the wrong type of snow.
We can, and the record on punctuality in this country is better than it is in places like Germany.
All right.
Fewer than 10 deaths a year on road.
We've got to leave it, Norman. We're going to bring you the weather update, and we'll be back right after this.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It could be quite a chilly start today, but otherwise warming up nicely, leaving most places fine and dry, though eastern areas could still feel a little bit of a chill. That's all thanks to a northeasterly flow of air, at times dragging in some cloud, possibly some showers, particularly around North Sea coasts and later on across central and southern parts, where it could be quite breezy for a time across southern coasts, but otherwise a largely dry and pleasant day ahead and feeling fairly warm in the sunshine for many, highs around 19 to 20 degrees Celsius, but always that bit cooler around North Sea coasts, particularly in the breeze. Then to finish off the day across Scotland, once again remaining largely dry. There could still be a fair amount of cloud, particularly across the very far north of Scotland. Shetland, for example, still at risk of a shower, but otherwise a mix of cloud and clear spells to end the day. And it should be a fairly clear end to the day too across Northern Ireland. But northern, central parts of England, perhaps parts of the south, could see a bit more cloud. And there's still the chance of the odd shower, particularly moving into parts of East Anglia, eastern parts of England still to end the day. But overall, overnight, we've still got high pressure dominating, fairly light winds, so it's going to be a mix of cloud and clear spells. But under the clearest of skies, that is where we're going to see temperatures dip away, particularly across Scotland, moving into the low single figures here. But across central and southern areas, a bit more cloud, so temperatures not falling away quite as much. So some low cloud potentially to start as we head into Thursday, but clearing up nicely through the morning, allowing plenty more sunshine across the south central areas. Probably a brighter day compared to today, but across northern areas, parts of Scotland, still once again a fair amount of cloud, and once again a chance this could be thick enough to produce the odd shower, but fairly similar temperatures, so still feeling pleasant in the sunshine, highs of 19 to 20 degrees Celsius.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. A serious collision on the M90 northbound has closed the exit to the A912 at junction 10. Drivers should find alternative routes and allow extra travel time. The M4 eastbound between junction 23 Rogiette and junction 22. Pilning near the Prince of Wales Bridge is closed for resurfacing. Diversions are in place and drivers should seek different routes. On the M23 northbound in Surrey, a broken down vehicle is causing delays between junction 9 and junction 8, with only one lane open out of 4. Expect normal traffic to resume between 7 and 7:15 this morning. Plan accordingly. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
You could be the next big winner on the road in this brand new Alnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. Imagine the fun you could have in this luxurious home from home worth over £67,000. We'll also give you £5,000 in tax-free cash to make your next getaway a great one. And it could be all yours. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop star to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good morning. India and Pakistan on the brink of war.
At least 10 people killed, dozens injured in retaliatory airstrikes on Pakistan following a rise in tensions.
Well, as Pakistan declares an act of war, could the decades-long conflict escalate into an all-out war? Well, here's what President Trump thinks.
Been fighting for a long time. You know, they've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
An historic free trade deal between UK and India, but the Prime Minister is facing a backlash over fears it could introduce a two-tier tax deal for Indian migrants.
From today, judges will be able to hand down tougher punishments to criminals who refuse to attend their sentencing after a slate of high-profile cases.
The Conservatives published their first bill as the party of opposition. They're backing tougher deportation rules, but fall short of calling to leave the ECHR.
I am changing the Conservative Party to be one that is tougher on immigration. We've come out with new policies, reducing the fast track for British citizenship, for example.
Voting for a new pope begins today as cardinals from around the world descend on the Vatican to take part in the secretive conclave.
The royal family are continuing to lead VE Day celebrations this week as a poppy artwork is displayed in central London.
Donald Trump meets with newly elected Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, but they're on different pages about Canada's future.
Met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months. It's not for sale, won't be for sale.
But never say never. Never say never.
It's revealed more than 3,000 retired NHS employees are on 6-figure pensions. Now, if you know anything about pensions, you will know that is dreamland. That is something so difficult to achieve. So we're asking whether it's time to put a lid on this, to cap government pension funds. 6 figures, that's £100,000 plus per year.
And in sport, it's already been called the greatest Champions League game ever, although we said it's probably the third greatest Champions League game ever. Inter Milan make it into the final after beating Barcelona 4-3 in extra time after being 3 minutes away from going out. It's Arsenal's turn tonight as they go to Paris, currently 1-0 down to PSG. And in tennis, apparently Emma Raducanu is happy with her coach. That's the big news, but that's just for now.
Hello there, good morning. After a chilly start, many areas seeing a fine and pleasant day, though there is the risk of the odd shower. To find out where, stay tuned and I'll have all the details.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Wednesday morning. Welcome to the programme, whether you're listening online, whether you're watching on television or listening on radio. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, Miss Ellie started a whole revolution now as to jobs for the future and what we're thinking of. It's now being proposed that train drivers should be able to do that job from the age of 18.
Yeah.
And I was a bit worried that it might be too young to be responsible for a train and all the people.
So what would you be worried about an 18-year-old doing then?
I just don't
doing
think...
a bit too much.
I don't think...
doing a bit too much of that?
They're not experienced, are they?
They're not mentally completely formed. I just go back to my own situation and I remember, you know, I had my driving licence at 18 and I didn't drink and I did everything right. But I knew that I learnt that physically I couldn't handle the car, that I made bad judgment calls as regards speed. You have to have experience. You can say, I can go down this road at 50 miles an hour, whatever, and then you realise you can't. It's a country road, it's got a slight bend in it, there's a hedge in the way, there's whatever.
I remember passing my test, and I always remember driving down to a roundabout and thinking, I don't know whether to give way on the right or left. Just didn't know.
Has that changed in life?
I
bet you it hasn't.
I still don't know that, I don't think.
No, I think you're right.
I make it up as I go along, I really do.
I think we should all have to resit our driving test, but then they won't.
I don't think I've passed.
Oh, no.
But
it makes sense, I know that, but do you think you'd pass again?
Well, would I pass what's in the highway code? No, I wouldn't.
No. I don't think I'd honestly pass the driving test now.
No,
really
I don't think anybody would.
Why are you so bad?
I don't know. I passed third time, and it really was a fluke, because they made me reverse around a corner and just scraped the curb the whole way around, and he still passed me. I don't know why. And then ever since then, I've just kind of been learning as I go.
Right, OK. Right.
It's not great. I hate driving.
I hate my alloys being scraped.
Well, you wouldn't like me driving your car.
No, I would not.
No,
I get out every day and I look at my alloys, you know. I look at them,
I don't think I've ever looked at
matter of fact, I'm
once.
looking for someone. Someone was driving my car and they scraped my alloys. And I'm looking for someone who touches them up.
Right.
Why? You obviously don't have alloys.
I do. I've scratched mine today. It's not me that worries about it. No. It's my wife that worries about it. Every time, all the alloys. I scratch the alloys, and I've driven. And the other day, I parked her car. She's going to scratch my alloys. I didn't scratch her alloys. I'm the one that takes them. Honestly, I'm doing. Don't start me on alloys.
No, but it's a lot of money for little damage.
Correct.
In an alloy,
That's it.
Is there no way that the tyre could get, so the alloys are not going to touch the curb every time?
Well, I've never scraped an alloy.
Oh, I
bet you have.
all the time.
No, but lots of people have driven my car, scraped them.
Yeah.
That annoys me. Anyway,
let us know if you would trust an 18-year-old to drive a train.
No alloys on a train, though.
No alloys on a train.
So you don't have to worry about that, which is a good thing.
Yeah. gbnews.com/you'll say.
I like modernity. I like, like things like Star Trek, that you would go to doors and doors go, when noises.
You'd like a spaceship?
I'd like a spaceship, basically.
OK.
That's what you need.
We'll see what we can do for you before the end of the programme, shall we?
OK. India has launched airstrikes in Pakistan overnight. It brings the two nations, which incidentally are nuclear armed, to the brink of war.
Well, it's the latest in a series of escalations between the two countries, which started when India accused Pakistan of orchestrating a terror attack on the Kashmir region last month, and that killed 26 people.
Well, the two countries have fought several wars over Kashmir since 1947. Here in the studio, who is this now?
We're going to speak to the director of the Sanctuary Foundation
Well, that's
first.
good, because that's a surprise to me. I didn't know that's who we were going to speak to.
Yeah, we're going to speak to Krish Kandaya, who's on the line for us now. Good to see you this morning, Krish. And this is a really concerning escalation, isn't it?
It is really concerning, Ellie, because we can only see it getting worse and worse. And as you say, they're nuclear powers. There's been friction since these two countries are separated in 1947, when Britain ended 200 years, of colonial rule in the area by dividing India and Pakistan into two countries, divided by religion. India was supposed to be a Hindu country and Pakistan a Muslim country. But they brought in a civil servant, Sir Cyril Radcliffe, who'd never really been to India before. He was given 5 weeks to decide where the border lines would be. And he cut through communities, villages, families were separated. Partition led to just incredible tension in the area, and hundreds of thousands, some say millions of lives were lost in conflict back then. And so this conflict really has been going on for a long time, and it's a very worrying border for worse and worse things to happen.
Chris, let me ask you, not just what's going on in the region, but the fact that it's been going on a long time and it's reignited. Do you expect to see any circumstances in the UK where that will increase tensions as well?
Well, we do have large Pakistani and Indian populations. My mother was moved to the UK from India to train to be a nurse here. And in most cases, we've lived in fantastic unity with one another. I've got loads of Pakistani friends and Indian friends. But conflict in another country sometimes carries friction over here too. It'd be interesting to see what role Britain can play. We helped cause this conflict many years ago. How can we be the instigator for peace? That might be more difficult now. We've made a huge trade deal with India just yesterday. So it looks like we aren't in a good place to be a mediator. Donald Trump stepping forward. He hasn't been very successful in Gaza or Ukraine. So who can offer conciliatory services in this moment? I'm not sure. It's very, very worrying.
OK. Chris Kandaya, good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Joining us now to talk about that trade deal in the studio, we've got Charlie Rowley, and political analyst. And Charlie, you heard Chris talking about a huge trade deal. Is it a huge trade deal? Just try and put this into context for me, would you?
Yeah, I think it's certainly significant. And on any other given day, I think the government would absolutely be shouting from the rooftops about this, and everybody would getting behind to support it. $5 billion a year to the UK economy, the UK coffers. That's not something to be sniffed at, you would have thought, particularly given COVID and since the global economies are sort of stalled and trying to get that economic growth, something that this Labour government pinned its whole election manifesto on, going for growth. So it will have an impact on the economy. The question that everybody's talking about today, and I think where the criticism has come from opposition parties, is how that's implemented. So yes, you can export more in terms of your Scotch and Scottish whisky, which is a booming market in India. But at the expense now, the trade-off there is where Indian companies based in the UK are able to employ somebody from India and not have to face national insurance contributions, whereas we know after the last budget, national insurance contributions were hiked for UK businesses in the last budget. So there's now accusations about a two-tier system when it comes to national insurance for business
again,
and
I'm
workers.
trying to work out why we would need to incentivise. I mean, if people in India would want to come and work in the UK and the door's open to them, why then do they need the extra incentive of not having to pay national insurance for the first 3 years?
Well, this was an ask by India because they wanted to encourage greater growth, greater integration, greater ties, more, if I coin the phrase, freedom of movement, I suppose, between UK nationals and people from India that are able to come to the UK. It's a reciprocal arrangement, and it's an arrangement that the UK has with countries like Australia and others. So it's not anew, but it just comes against the political backdrop of when people are talking about immigration, when people are talking about hikes on taxes for British companies, British workers. This seems to go against the grain. It's an anomaly, it seems, or it's something where most people would think, why is the Labour government doing this to another country, allowing a tax break, essentially, when actually there are people that need to fill those jobs at home, when there are Brits that need to fill those jobs, and where UK companies have been feeling the pinch because of increase in taxes? Why is a foreign company or a foreign country that has a company in the UK getting a better deal than a local businessman in the high street, for example?
There's also concern about the number of visas that are going to be granted to Indians under this trade deal. So at the moment there's a cap, isn't there? But do you think that cap could be increased potentially?
Well, that's, I think, a lot of the detail that people are asking for, because there's been no impact assessment, so we don't know, and the government, I don't think, have been able to answer so far. Maybe you get the answers later on today. How many people do you expect from India to come to the UK? How many jobs are going to be assigned to people from India that are coming into to the UK under that Indian company? So, you know, who's coming into the UK? The arrangement was... those workers wouldn't pay national insurance contributions because as they pay, as it's an Indian-owned company in the UK, a lot of the taxes are going back to India. So the Indian government was saying that they're not, you wouldn't be paying national insurance contributions because you're not going to be claiming welfare from the UK because you're not going to be a national, you're not going to have access to benefits.
Charlie, just a quick thing, going back to when you were an advisor to the Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, now you look at her, she needs to get some visibility, she needs to get her head above the parapets and some distance between what she's doing and what other parties are doing. Reform UK did so well with the local government elections last week. Does she need to be doing more on this front when it comes to flying the flag for Britain?
I think that's right. I think, look, you know, for the last 6 months or so, Kemi Badenoch has said, look, you know, she's new to the role. She wants to change the party, change the foundations, have more conversation with the members to get the policies right because of the failures of the past, because they got an absolute trouncing at the last elections. But the visibility, I think, is key. But what is really worrying, I think, if you are a Conservative or just analysing it, even though Reform did absolutely brilliantly, it seems to be, at the last local elections, 10 councils, 2 mayors, 1 MP, the underplayed story, I think, is the drift from former Conservative seats to the Lib Dems, you know, who did particularly well. So they run now Cambridge, they run Oxford County Council. So there is a real split as a former Conservative voter, whether you're going to Reform or you're going to the Lib Dems. So Kemi, as the leader of the Conservatives, needs to win back those voters from both sides in order to become successful again and to mount you know, getting back into government. How she does that when you're balancing those wings of the party that seem to still be divided and where people still don't have much of an appetite to vote Conservative because of the politics of the past, the chopping and changing of your Prime Minister and every other minister every other month, it seems. You know, that's a hard task. So let's see what she comes up with.
Charlie, always fascinating listening to you. Thank you very much indeed for your contribution this morning. We appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Now, 15 minutes past 7, let's take a look at some other stories coming into the newsroom this morning. And King Charles has attended the world premiere of David Attenborough's latest documentary, Ocean, at London's Royal Festival Hall. The new documentary includes dramatic footage of the harm that fishing does to the environment. Sir David, who turns 99 on Thursday, says that after almost 100 years on the planet, I now understand that the most important place on Earth is not the land, but the sea.
The Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada is not for sale after he met with Donald Trump at the White House. The two nations are currently in a trade war that's frayed bilateral relations. Speaking from the Oval Office, here's how the conversation went.
Having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale.
But never say never. Never say never.
And your next train could be driven by a teenager after the Department of Transport announced that 18-year-olds will be allowed to drive trains. The average age of a train driver is currently 48, with a third of the workforce expected to retire within the next 5 years.
So, since we've come on air, you've gone from, oh, not sure about this, 18-year-olds driving trains, to you think that, yeah.
The more I think about it, the more I'm OK with it, actually. And that's because 18-year-olds were flying Lancaster bombers during the war and Spitfires, which was your point. That a lot of it is done It's automated, isn't it, the systems? So potentially a bit safer. And also, great work if they can get it. I mean, if they're on salaries of 70k at 18 years old, good for them.
Yeah. And Claire Muldoon was saying she was in China recently, or she was watching a documentary in China, and a lot of trains are driven there without drivers.
Yeah, and going at 300 miles per hour. Maybe that's where we're going.
Doesn't bear thinking about. What does the weather bear thinking about today? Good morning, Honor. Let's find out.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It could be quite a chilly start today, but otherwise warming up nicely, leaving most places fine and dry, though eastern areas could still feel a little bit of a chill. That's all thanks to a northeasterly flow of air, at times dragging in some cloud, possibly some showers, particularly around North Sea coasts and later on across central and southern parts, where it could be quite breezy for a time across southern coasts, but otherwise a largely dry and pleasant day ahead and feeling fairly warm in the sunshine for many, highs around 19 to 20 degrees Celsius, but always that bit cooler around North Sea coasts, particularly in the breeze. Then to finish off the day across Scotland, once again remaining largely dry. There could still be a fair amount of cloud, particularly across the very far north of Scotland. Shetland, for example, still at risk of a shower, but otherwise a mix of cloud and clear spells to end the day. And it should be a fairly clear end to the day too across Northern Ireland. But northern, central parts of England, perhaps parts of the south, could see a bit more cloud. And there's still the chance of the odd shower, particularly moving into parts of East Anglia, eastern parts of England still to end the day. But overall, overnight, we've still got high pressure dominating, fairly light winds, so it's going to be a mix of cloud and clear spells. But under the clearest of skies, that is where we're going to see temperatures dip away, particularly across Scotland, moving into the low single figures here. But across central and southern areas, a bit more cloud, so temperatures not falling away quite as much. So some low cloud potentially to start as we head into Thursday, but clearing up nicely through the morning, allowing plenty more sunshine across the south central areas. Probably a brighter day compared to today, but across northern areas, parts of Scotland, still once again a fair amount of cloud, and once again a chance this could be thick enough to produce the odd shower, but fairly similar temperatures, so still feeling pleasant in the sunshine, highs of 19 to 20 degrees Celsius.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Oh, yes. So the whole idea about train drivers has got you talking.
Yes.
Louise in Lancashire, Louise is saying, my father is now retired. He left school in 1977. He joined British Rail as a learner train driver. He was driving train at 18, so therefore this is nothing new. So I don't know. There has to be something new, you know, to allow this to happen. Because she said it happened to her dad.
It happened to her dad, yeah. But as long as they're getting sufficient training, you would hope it would be OK. Stavros says, 18-year-old train driver, so long as they don't treat the train as a game console.
But you see, I think that's probably a good thing because they're more comfortable, they're more at ease. Feeling, you know, they're being trained by a console.
Yeah, they're used to it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Peter says, I don't see the problem with an 18-year-old train driver because, as you know, Eamonn, at 18 in Ireland, you are legal to drive an HGV Class 1.
Oh, I didn't know that, but
well, you know it
there
now.
we go. I know it now. Big truck to be able to do that.
Margaret says, what a lovely picture of you in your youth with a trendy car.
Trendy car.
And she says, I hope you're well, Eamonn.
You see that car? 550 quid it cost me, and it just leaked water. It leaked through the windows, it leaked through the doors.
Have we got this photo? Yeah, there it is. And you're telling me you're not a boy racer, but you've got those, what did you call those lights?
Rally lights.
Rally lights. And you had go faster stripes.
Aye,
so you are a boy racer.
But we also drilled holes in the floor of the car to let the water come in and pour out again. That was it. That was the way it was. But there you go. Oh gosh, I love cars. I mean, that was a big dream. I should have been a mechanic, really.
You do love cars?
I do love cars.
Yeah, they asked me this morning, they said, Ellie, have you got any pictures with your first car? I was like, no.
Because it wouldn't mean anything. You don't have any attachment.
No, I'd never thought to take a picture with my car, but I don't like cars. Yeah. So there you are.
I have dreams at night and things. I think of, why did I buy that car in that colour when I was 23 or 27 or whatever it was? And you could.
You had some really crazy cars.
Oh, I bought one that was basically Kermit the Frog.
Oh, no,
It was a Fiat Strada, and it was built by robots, and it was not Kermit the Frog colour.
That's the worst
green.
colour of all the colours.
Terrible.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, what possessed me? It must have been a good deal.
Yeah.
Anyway, talking about cars, yeah. So it's not a car, but it's a motorhome.
It is, yeah, and it's not Kermit Green.
No.
You'll be glad to know. It's a motorhome worth over £67,000, also £5,000 up for grabs in tax-free cash in the Great British Giveaway. It could all be yours. Here's how.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
And good luck to Arsenal as well. Big match for them tonight, searching for victory in Paris. Paul Coit with that, talking about Champions League next.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
So you're looking up little things on the computer about how to fix ripped upholstery in cars. Just why? Why?
No, this is the X homepage, and that's what just automatically came up for me. Oh. And look, now there's another really random one about how to wrap circular-shaped things. I don't know.
Oh, I'd like to wrap a circular-shaped
I don't know. I don't know why it feeds me that stuff, but it obviously thinks I'm very interested. Which, to be honest, I am. But anyway, we can look at that another time.
Are you good?
Well, I'll tell you what, you look at the rapid and circular things, and I'll tell you about the sport while you do it.
Yeah, do that. Paul, this is a huge game for Arsenal tonight. They are up against it. They're 1-0 down. They're playing away from home, second leg.
Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
And also Paris Saint-Germain are better probably than they've ever been. Because they had the players that you would assume that they would be the best team in the world. You had Messi and Mbappe and Neymar, and these are all world greats. But a team, sometimes you can put all the players in, but then it's a team game. And now they've gone, they seem to be working so much better as a team. Luis Enrique is the manager.
Could you imagine what the wage bill was there?
Oh, just insane. An insane amount. You know what was interesting? I was told Eric Bielderman, do you remember our French friend who was on from L'Equipe, who was on the show last week? He was talking about Mbappe, and when it was Mbappe was going to go to Real Madrid, and Real Madrid offered this ridiculous amount to PSG, and it was because the Middle East owners, they wouldn't accept the money. It was huge money, but it was principle, because they didn't want to lose face by having a player leave them for another club. So that was the reason they never sold him. It was like, no, he's not going anywhere. So anyway, now he's gone, everything's fine. PSG are looking very good. Arsenal are still in with a shout at this. There's no question. It's in Paris, but why not? They've beaten Real Madrid twice. And
Did you see the weather in Paris this week?
I didn't see the weather in Paris.
Hailstones, rain.
It was crazy,
Absolutely crazy
People
for 2 days.
Eating their baguettes, and then these hailstones came down the size of cats.
Really? Biblical weather?
Biblical
weather.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear from Declan Rice.
OK.
He scored 2... I don't know how I link those two.
Well, he's using biblical language.
Yeah, very good. Anyways, Declan Rice.
The semi-final, it's set up for someone else, to maybe get that magic moment. Hopefully it's me again, but you're going to need a moment of magic to win a game, and as a team, we're going to need that. So yeah, tomorrow night, hopefully we can deliver something special. We need to have big balls, and we need to go out there on the biggest stage and show that we're ready to play at this level.
There you go, Declan Rice. You need big balls and you need magic. And that's how... Well, I mean, that's what he said. I mean, it's not my words, but that's what he said. So anyway, it's a huge game, and it was an unbelievable game yesterday. Inter Milan beat Barcelona 4-3. So Inter Milan are into the final. The winner of Arsenal versus PSG will play Inter Milan. By the way, Watford have sacked Tom Cleverley.
Yeah, I've read that, and he had done so well for them as well.
Well, he had it, and he's the first manager to actually, since 2010... to actually last a whole calendar year at Watford.
With not much of a pool of players and whatever. But
they would sack everybody left, right, and centre.
When I say he's done so well with what he had to keep them up. But anyway, we'll talk about that next time around, because we have got Matt Vickers, who is the Shadow Minister for Crime, Policing and Fire, as it turns out.
Good morning to you, Mr. Vickers. Can we start by asking you about this trade deal with India? Do you welcome this free trade agreement? I mean, it's taking advantage of our Brexit freedoms, isn't it? And it's boosting the economy.
So we welcome the opportunity to do more trade with countries across the globe, but what we don't welcome is quite where this deal's got to. When Labour negotiates, Britain loses. We've seen another two-tier agreement coming out of Kia. As we see, do you know what? British workers and British companies across the country are being slammed by Labour's job tax. That increase in national insurance is a huge impact on them. But the people coming here from India under this agreement, the companies dealing here with, they won't be subject to national insurance. They will not be paying. A disproportionate number of them in this country, in contrast to what we've got there. It is a lose-lose for British taxpayers.
I'm interested in what you're saying, Matt. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. So why are we taking these workers? Where do we need them? And are we taking them simply to appease India and say, well, look, and I don't really know how this works, but we're saying we'll take a lot of your people over, give them jobs, let them settle in Britain if you buy a few crates of whiskey from us. I'm not really sure what the quid pro quo is?
So the big story here is not necessarily about not about immigration as such, but it's actually about the fact that people employing British workers in this country will still be paying national insurance. In fact, they're paying 20% more. They're paying a fortune in tax now, thanks to Labour's jobs tax. But those transferring Indian workers into this country will be paying less, disincentivising people to come here and employ British workers. It's completely wrong. It's not what people out there voted for. It's not what people out there want.
Can I stick with India with you for just a moment, because we're obviously seeing India and Pakistan escalating overnight tensions between those two countries. Are you concerned about how this might impact the UK? We've got very large Indian and Pakistani populations in this country. As Shadow Minister for Policing, are you concerned that we could see unrest on the streets here?
I think we're deeply concerned by what happens elsewhere in the globe when it has consequences like that and the dangers coming from people shelling one another. Deeply concerning developments overnight. It's right, well, the government's now got to engage with both countries, get them around the table, open up that dialogue and try and de-escalate this situation before it costs anybody their lives.
So what are you proposing, this deportation bill? Tell us what's involved in that and what's that about?
So it's game-changing. We're saying, as we did in office, that if you come to this country illegally, you should be detained and you should be removed. We're saying that anybody who comes to this country should be subject to mandatory age verification, i.e. we should use whatever tech and science we've got to check what age these people are. But more than that, we're saying that if you commit a crime in this country, at the moment, if you commit a crime in this country, you've got to be sentenced to more than a year before you'll be deported. We're saying if you commit a crime on our turf, you should be sent back to wherever you came from. And the big problem with that has been the courts and the Human Rights Act. We're saying we should disapply the Human Rights Act when it comes to cases of deportation, when it comes to cases of immigration. The Human Rights Act shouldn't count. It should be about the law that's created in that place and it being served in the courts properly.
We haven't heard Kelly Badenoch say that. I haven't. Have you heard her say that?
Yeah, why have you fallen short of saying you'll leave the ECHR? Why have you not said that? You've fallen short of that.
So in terms of application, in terms of if you look at the cases that get tied up, the chicken nugget gate, we saw the carry on of a guy who should have been deported but made the case that his kids don't like foreign chicken nuggets and therefore should get to stay. We got to see the case of a paedophile who said if he was returned to his country, he'd face hostility. These were Human Rights Act cases. These were cases that went in our domestic courts and were rejected on the grounds of human rights. But we're saying we will disapply that. This is going to remove that logjam. It's going to allow us to deport those foreign criminals. It's going to allow us to get our immigration system fixed and fit for purpose.
But Matt, I don't really understand how you can disapply. You know, you just say we're applying it here, we're not applying it next week. We're applying it the week after that. You're either in the ECHR or you're not in it.
The Human Rights Act is Britain's part in that, but actually the law should be decided by the guys in there. The guys that the British public watching you this morning are elected. They're electing people into Parliament to make the law. That should be the law. It should be the law that British people want. It should be the law made by the people they send to Parliament, not by somebody else hidden away, judges deciding what the law should and shouldn't be. We're saying when it comes to immigration, when it comes to deportation, the law as it stands, as it's created by Parliament, should be upheld, regardless of the Human Rights Act.
If someone is up for deportation and they evoke the ECHR Article 8 right to a family life, then you will struggle, and you know this, we've seen it before, haven't we? You will struggle, ultimately fail, to get them on a plane to deport them out of this country. You can't do any of that unless you elect the ECHR.
We can. The Human Rights Act, what gives it effect in this country. It's our domestic courts that are the problem in this situation. It is them who are having some of these really creative interpretations of the law and binding the two. We're saying that isn't going to be the case anymore. We will not allow that. We will disapply the Human Rights Act. We'll make judges serve the law as it's meant to be served when it comes to immigration and deportation. That's entirely the right thing to do.
Matt, fascinating.
Interim judgments from Strasbourg would be disapplied. It's the right way forward.
Yeah, okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you. Actually, it's not a good morning. That's the whole thing. I'm listening and looking at you today, and I'm thinking, I thought it was a nice day out, and then he's dressed like Nanook of the North.
Winter's
today
back.
He's got the scarf.
It's a bit chilly.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt.
There we go.
So we had false spring, and now we're in fourth winter.
Yeah.
It's the thing.
Well, we're still not Paris. We're still having hailstones the size of tennis balls.
Exactly.
It's incredible.
There's still time.
Still to come, the secret of conclave, the process to pick a new pope begins today.
I'm really excited about that. Tell you who else is excited. Claire Muldoon and Norman Baker join us in just a few seconds to go through the papers with us. But first, just before that, if you're in search of some holiday sun, and you might be looking at Matt because they're wrapped up in his scarf this morning, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. There is currently no exit from the M90 northbound to the A912 at junction 10 due to a road traffic incident. Motorists are advised to use an alternative route and allow extra time for their journey. The M4 eastbound from junction 23 Rogier to junction 22, Pilning Prince of Wales Bridge is closed due to resurfacing work, with diversions in place. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Yeah. We're just researching who's the youngest cardinal. We've been talking about 18-year-old train drivers today, and we're saying, could you have an 18-year-old pope? No, you couldn't. So the youngest cardinal was born in 1980. He's Ukrainian. He's called Mykola Bykok, it looks like.
So he's a cardinal, and that makes him 45?
Yes.
Gosh.
No, I didn't. Really? He's done well, hasn't he?
Mm.
Climbed up the ranks.
I like the idea of that. You see, I'd like...
45-year-old.
I'd like to join the clergy if I was going to, you know, progress up the ladder very quickly.
You'd be good as a priest, you know.
I would be very good.
Because you could just talk.
I was expected on in our school. There was
They're expecting you to become a priest.
20% of us were expected to go on to the college.
Seminary.
Is that right?
Seminary,
what percentage did go on?
What?
What percentage did go on?
Oh, do you know, it's really interesting. So I left school in 1978, and there was quite a lot. Say there would have been, you know, 20 or so guys every year like that. None.
None?
None now.
Yeah.
None now. Absolutely none. Not long after that, actually. And they closed the wing down. That was it.
So you won't be voting in the conclave, but 133 cardinals will be, Claire.
Yeah.
You've got this in the Telegraph, haven't you?
Yes, I have. So we just wonder what's going to happen, and
you know.
I'm so excited. I'm going to be watching the smoke from the Sistine Chapel.
I think you reckon it's Friday, we'll know.
Yeah, my money's on Friday.
Well, let's see who is... So the latest favourites, the Telegraph are running with 4 favourites. We've got Cardinal Luis Antonio Tarly from the Philippines.
I think it'll be him.
Cardinal Peter Turkson, he was a close advisor on climate change. Cardinal Peter Erdo, a Hungarian cardinal, and Matteo Zuppi. But the front runner is Cardinal Parolin, who was an extremely close confidant of Pope Francis, but I really hope it's not him, because he's been involved with a lot of skullduggery and shenanigans in the Vatican. There was a botched takeover of a Harrods site of 180 million euros or something like that, and that was completely gone. And that was ruled in this country actually as being, obviously the Vatican might have been taken to task for that.
This was an investment that went wrong.
Yes, went wrong. And,
right.
you know, Francis was supposed to have overhauled the church.
Yeah.
We used to remember it back in the 80s. The Vatican Bank was referred to as Marcinkus Mansions. And there was lots and lots of detail that went amiss in regards to mismanagement of funds in the Vatican. And as we've already discussed, the Vatican is a very small state within Italy, but a very powerful state in terms of money, in terms of land that they own. I mean, did you know the Vatican even owns a good chunk of the Champs-Élysées?
No.
For instance. No. Yes, it does. And the amount of poverty in the world globally, and yet the Vatican is sitting in so much money.
Yes, but it has to earn its money some way, whatever. But that's fascinating.
It's hugely fascinating.
Norman, let's talk about the winter fuel payments now.
Yes.
We're hearing a lot of soundings whether the government will rethink its policy on this one or not. Well, as we head into summer, does it make a darn bit of difference?
Well, it does in a sense, because it's becoming politically very toxic for the government. The talk now is that they're going to raise the threshold so that more pensioners would qualify for the winter fuel allowance. That might be a sensible outcome, but I think it's gone too far for them. I think they've made such a mess of it that probably politically they ought to just say, sorry, hands up, we got it wrong, and reverse the policy. But I don't think they will. They'll go halfway, and all the mutterings will carry on.
You see, I think politicians standing up and saying, sorry, we got this wrong, we're going to change, I think people would see that as a positive thing, as a good thing.
They respect that, don't they?
I think they would. However, it doesn't happen. Well, it just doesn't happen. So why doesn't it not happen?
Well, it doesn't happen, I suppose, because people think they're being vulnerable then to the allegation they didn't know what they were doing. But you can't do it all the time. You can't do it with the whole succession policies. But if it's something like this, you can do it. And I think they get a lot of credit for doing so.
And you can with such a controversial, unpopular policy. That became their central policy, didn't it? Right at the very beginning of government. And it's something like 6 in 10 would like to see it fully reversed.
It was completely mishandled, because what happened was that it was one of the first things the Chancellor announced. It wasn't part of the budget. It was announced on its own. So there was no good news to counter it.
It wasn't even in their manifesto, no.
Right, OK. Well, look, hold that thought. Let's hit the break and we'll show you some travel weather, top European destinations. This is where the sun is shining. Back after this.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
An unsettled spell across parts of Europe, particularly across the Alps and southeastern Europe, where they're going to experience heavy showers and thunderstorms over the next few days. An area of low pressure could drag in some showers later across Madeira and Tenerife. Plenty of showers across Portugal and Spain, but it's really across the Alps, southeastern parts of Europe, where these showers are going to be particularly heavy and possibly thundery. Now, it should be largely dry across Greece and largely dry for all from Sunday, with temperatures in the low 20s, so feeling pleasant in the sunshine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
And the restaurant chain Toby Carvery has come under fire after chopping down a significant 400-year-old oak tree. It's considered to be more ecologically significant than the Sycamore Gap.
Yeah, so this tree is 6.1 metres wide. There it is, fallen down. It was one of London's oldest and largest, and it supports more native wildlife than any other tree, making it crucial for biodiversity, apparently.
All the woodlice must be so sad. Well, the chain believed that it had a legal right to fell this tree, which was not covered by a tree protection order.
Well, we're joined by Chief Executive of the Tree Council, Sarah Lom.
I mean, I was down on site this morning, and I have to say, first of all, you know, it makes you really, really sad to see this tree with its branches just chopped up lying there, but also really, really angry that it could have happened, that there isn't enough protection around to have stopped this happening. You know, we're incredibly lucky in the UK. We have more ancient trees than the whole of Europe combined. So it's really, really important that we look after them.
Now, of course, the restaurant argues that the tree was dead or dying, and of course that it was on their land, it was their property. So what do you say to their argument that they were within their rights to cut down this tree?
I mean, I'd like to know who assessed the tree to be dead. Normally, you know, you would have an arboricultural report and it would be in depth, in detail. We haven't seen that. Nobody seems to have seen that. So, you know, that could have shown that, in fact, perhaps the tree could have been managed better in some way. You know, it could have had some of the branches lifted, and then the tree would have survived rather than just felling it to the ground.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
OK, we've got Norman, we've got Claire. They've got stories that are making them talk, and hopefully you talk, as I say to you both. All rise, except only if you can. I mean, for instance, you three could all rise, but if we were in court, I couldn't rise. I couldn't get up. Would I worry that I haven't?
Would you be offended?
No.
Exactly.
No. There's lots of things happen, whether it's in church or wherever it is, and you realise, well, obviously I can't do that. But anyway, this is interesting, Claire. So the things have changed then.
Well, in courts in England and Wales over the next few weeks, it will be introduced that when the judge comes into the court, the judges come into every single court sitting in this land, the usher would say, all rise, and everyone, if they could, would get up, right, as a matter of respect. This is a 1,000-year-old tradition. Now, in the case for wokery and inclusion, it will now be all rise if able. I mean, come on. What is the point of all this? Have you been in some of our courts? They're as old as the hills. They're not even capable of facilitating wheelchair access or anything else. But, oh, no, we have to be mindful. We have to be mindful of those people that might not be able to get up.
Norman, what do you make of it?
Well, I mean, it is a bit silly, isn't it, I think?
A bit silly, Norman.
And the other thing is, if you end up with a situation where somebody doesn't want to bother getting up, they'll have more excuse not to get up.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Well, that's
it
true.
Minimises the respect.
All rise if you can be bothered.
Exactly. That's what it will become.
Yes, that's the next
And then
thing.
maybe we all start to slack and we don't stand for judges.
Well, next, judges will be walking in without their robes. You know, court ushers won't have their gowns on. It's all about discipline. It's all about about respect and it's all about tradition, and we need to uphold them at all costs.
You see, I think tradition is very important. Uniforms are very important.
Yes.
Obviously, I was in hospital last week, and hospital was so good. Everybody was so well dressed, and you could tell that person was a nurse, that person is a doctor, that person is from the X-ray or whatever it is. You could tell there was just difference, and everything seemed good. I think when you take those things away from society, who ever thought it was a good idea that bank clerks don't wear uniforms or, you know, this just goes on and on and on. And I don't see the benefit in all of it.
Well, you won't, you know, and wearing your pride and joy of a uniform, whether it be a TfL uniform, whether it be a doctor's white coat, a nurse's uniform, it's pride in your job. It's an identity, you know, and I think that's really, and it would erode. The same thing in primary schools. You know my view in this. I hate sweatshirts and polo shirts. It's the shirt and tie. It's a rite of passage. Bring it back.
And very smart as well. Norman, let's have a look at this story, shall we? And I think many people would say, finally, criminals are going to face extra sanctions if they refuse to attend their sentencing.
Well, I'm going to sound uncharacteristically right-wing on this matter, I have to tell you, because I don't think... I mean, it is welcome that, in fact, they should have extra sanctions if they don't turn up. But I'm of the view that it should be made to turn up. I'm of the view that it should be hauled out of their cells and brought to the court and made to face their victims and have to listen to the sentence. That's what I think should happen.
Yeah.
And why is the case that they might not be?
Well, I mean, at the moment they're not. And if you look at, for example, the knife killer Carl Clifford, you know, he didn't go to the courts. He stayed in his cell to be sentenced. I mean, that's quite wrong. He should be able to make.
Do you know what I think is quite wrong? There's nothing. I just want to get this off my chest. I watch a lot of these true crime programmes, you know, on satellite telly and whatever. And when you see the police interviewing a suspect, you can get away with, you know, well, Mr. Baker, why were you there on Friday night? No answer, or you can say no comment, or whatever it is, you do all that. And this goes on and on and on. And I think, what a complete waste of the police time. You've got 24 hours to charge this guy. It's really quite amazing. I'm just amazed that you just can't take it as a sign of guilt if you don't answer or you don't do that. Anyway, I know. I just wanted to get it off.
But it is this sick trend that we've seen, haven't we? Thomas Cashman, who killed Olivia Pratt-Corbell, he refused to appear.
That's right, yeah.
Axel Rudikabana, he was removed from his sentencing. He was shouting and screaming. And Carl Clifford, as you say, so it's right that it stopped. Lucy Letby also, wasn't it?
And at the time of the sentencing, victim awareness letters come up, and the impact on these families has been absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, it's right that they say that.
Guys, got to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. Let's give you the weather update.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It could be quite a chilly start today, but otherwise warming up nicely, leaving most places fine and dry, though eastern areas could still feel a little bit of a chill. That's all thanks to a northeasterly flow of air, at times dragging in some cloud, possibly some showers, particularly around North Sea coasts and later on across central and southern parts, where it could be quite breezy for a time across southern coasts, but otherwise a largely dry and pleasant day ahead and feeling fairly warm in the sunshine for many, highs around 19 to 20 degrees Celsius, but always that bit cooler around North Sea coasts, particularly in the breeze. Then to finish off the day across Scotland, once again remaining largely dry. There could still be a fair amount of cloud, particularly across the very far north of Scotland. Shetland, for example, still at risk of a shower, but otherwise a mix of cloud and clear spells to end the day. And it should be a fairly clear end to the day too across Northern Ireland. But northern central parts of England, perhaps parts of the south, could see a bit more cloud. And there's still the chance of the odd shower, particularly moving into parts of East Anglia, eastern parts of England still to end the day. But overall, overnight, we've still got high pressure dominating, fairly light winds, so it's going to be a mix of cloud and clear spells. But under the clearest of skies, that is where we're going to see temperatures dip away, particularly across Scotland, moving into the low single figures here. But across central and southern areas, a bit more cloud, so temperatures not falling away quite as much. So some low cloud potentially to start as we head into Thursday, but clearing up nicely through the morning, allowing plenty more sunshine across the south central areas. Probably a brighter day compared to today, but across northern areas, parts of Scotland, still once again a fair amount of cloud, and once again a chance this could be thick enough to produce the odd shower, but fairly similar temperatures, so still feeling pleasant in the sunshine. Highs of 19 to 20 degrees Celsius.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Motorists on the M90 northbound will face delays as the exit to the A912 at Junction 10 is closed due to an incident. Drivers should seek alternative routes and allow extra time. Meanwhile, the eastbound carriageway of the M4 between Junction 23 Rogier and Junction 22 Pilning, involving the Prince of Wales Bridge, is closed for resurfacing with diversions. On the M1 northbound in Derbyshire, between junctions 28 and 29, a single lane is closed due to a broken down vehicle. The M27 westbound in Hampshire at junction 8 has lane closures with a 10-minute delay due to a vehicle breakdown. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
You could be the next big winner on the road in this brand new Alnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. Imagine the fun you could have in this luxurious home from home worth over £67,000. We'll also give you £5,000 in tax-free cash to make your next getaway a great one. And it could be all yours. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. India and Pakistan on the brink of war.
At least 10 people killed, dozens injured in retaliatory airstrikes on Pakistan, following a rise in tensions in the region.
As Pakistan declares an act of war, could the decades-long conflict escalate? Well, here's what President Trump thinks.
Been fighting for a long time. You know, they've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
An historic free trade deal between the UK and India, but the Prime Minister is facing a backlash over fears it could introduce a 2-tier tax deal for Indian migrants.
Yes, the government is selling this as a big win for Britain, but quite a lot of critical front pages given the national insurance exemption from for Indian workers. I'll bring you more details shortly.
The Conservatives published their first bill as the opposition party. They're backing tougher deportation rules, but fall short of calling to leave the ECHR.
It's game-changing. We're saying, as we did in office, that if you come to this country illegally, you should be detained and you should be removed.
Voting for a new pope begins today as cardinals around the world get ready to do that. We should be hearing the first vote, the result of that, at around 4 o'clock this afternoon.
As it's revealed, more than 3,000 retired NHS employees are on six-figure pensions. We ask whether it's time to cap government pension funds.
18-year-olds will now be allowed to drive trains as staff shortages reach a new low. Would you feel comfortable with a teenager driving your locomotive?
I'm good. I'll drive the car, thank you. Sport, it's already been called the greatest Champions League game ever as Inter Milan made it to the final after beating Barcelona 4-3 in extra time, after being 3 minutes away from going out. And it's Arsenal's turn tonight. They go to Paris, currently 1-0 down to PSG. And after the dad that we did yesterday, catching the baseball with his daughter's hands over his eyes, I've got another one for you. How would you handle a baseball flying at you 100 miles an hour while trying to eat a bowl of ice cream?
Hello there, good morning. After a chilly start, many areas seeing a fine and pleasant day, though there is the risk of the odd shower. To find out where, stay tuned and I'll have all the details.
It's a Wednesday morning. Very good to have you on board. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Amongst the news stories that we will be covering today and coming up in the next half hour is pensions. And we're talking about public bodies, civil service, whatever, and they're able to pay out to hundreds of employees pensions that are worth more than, wait for it, £100,000 a year. Now, I don't know, Paul, if you glaze over at pensions or...
It's not good. Not so good when it comes to my pensions, no.
Money. I would reckon to get, what do I know, but from my own experience, to be able to take £100,000 out of a pension, you would have to have £1.5 million or so in your pension. So much money that, and I think there's limits on what you can actually deposit, so you can't actually do that sort of thing. But how on earth does it? What sort of job must you be in for that to happen? You couldn't afford to do that in your life. You couldn't afford to say, I'm going to put in so much money. That I'm going to get £100,000 back, which you would want, of course, when I'm 65.
I've had friends that work usually in banking, usually in the city.
Yes.
They've had their pensions and they've retired like a really young age, and that's it. And I'm like, wow. And I'm one of these that'll be, that'll happen later. I'm years away from that, and it's creeping up and it's creeping up. So
it's not getting any bigger.
It's not getting any bigger. Lots of you getting in touch this morning on 18-year-old train drivers. Really got you going on this one. Duncan says an 18-year-old now is very different from an 18-year-old 40 years ago. They struggle to brush their teeth in the morning without support nowadays, says Duncan. Martin, a similar message from you, saying youngsters today are pampered. They need to toughen the hell up and get stuck in. Maybe by driving a train.
OK, just throwing something controversial in. Is there a difference between an 18-year-old man and an 18-year-old woman? Is one of them more ready for the world than the other?
No.
The woman is more mature than the man at 18.
Yeah, maybe the girl would be more mature.
I would say so.
I'd say so too.
Yeah.
But you would say, as a woman at 18, you wouldn't be?
Well, me personally, definitely couldn't drive a train. Can barely drive a car. So probably best I'm kept away from trains with people on them. And on the trade deal with India, Sue says, good morning. It looks like it's a bad deal for British jobs. We have a lot of unemployment as it is. And Robert says the trade deal with India will increase immigration and increase the strain on the NHS, schools, infrastructure, housing and unemployment in young British people. Why would these people ever return to India?
I saw something on Instagram last night which basically said that the population of London is exactly the same as it was 50 years ago or whatever.
Right.
But the difference is that 50% of British-born Londoners or English-born Londoners have left They're not there. 50% of those people were not born in the UK.
Wow.
That's the difference.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But how does that come about? Don't know. Let us know your views. 6 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock on this Wednesday morning.
And India has launched airstrikes on Pakistan, bringing the two nuclear-armed nations to the brink of war.
Now, this is the latest in a series of escalations between the two countries that all started when India accused Pakistan of orchestrating a terror attack on Kashmir last month that killed 26 people.
Well, this morning, the Foreign Office has updated their travel advice, urging against all travel to parts of India and Pakistan.
Let's go to our Home and Security Editor, Mark White, who will bring us the latest on this and the implications there could well be for the UK. Mark, good morning.
Good morning to you. Yes, ever since that terrible terrorist attack in Indian-administered Kashmir on the 22nd of April, in which 26 people were murdered by terrorists, Pakistan had been braced for a retaliatory strike because India claimed that Pakistan had been involved in the attack, in that it had supported and funded the terrorist group responsible, a claim, of course, that Pakistan has denied. But that strike came last night, or about 1 in the morning, in Pakistan, with 9 separate strikes, missile strikes, on locations that the Indian government said were linked to these terrorist organisations, training camps and alike. And the strikes didn't just take place in Pakistan-administered Kashmir, but also in Pakistan itself, in some of the border communities. And that brought with it an immediate response from Pakistan in the form of intense overnight shelling and small arms fire across that line of control between Indian administered Kashmir and Pakistan administered Kashmir. So it is extremely tense. The latest is that India is reporting that 10 people have died and about 20 others at least have been injured as a result of the shelling from the Pakistan side. Pakistan is reporting the death toll from the missile strikes earlier in the evening as being now 26. They're describing them as civilians, with up to 50 others injured. Pakistan's also claiming that it has shot down Indian military aircraft. They're claiming 5. That's completely unverified, and there is no confirmation or any kind of word from the Indian government. The very latest out of India is that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has now cancelled his planned foreign trip. He was heading to Croatia, the Netherlands and Norway. He has now cancelled that to stay at home amid this escalating crisis.
Mark White there for us. Thank you very much indeed.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister is facing a backlash today over a landmark UK trade deal between India.
Well, the deal is the biggest free trade agreement since Brexit and expected to add nearly £5 billion a year to the UK economy, making it easier for firms to export whisky, cars and other products to India and cut taxes on India's clothing and footwear exports.
Well, some Conservatives and the Reform UK party are criticising the deal for allowing some Indian workers to be exempt from employer and employee national insurance.
Well, joining us now is GB News political correspondent Catherine Forster. Catherine, is this a good deal or a bad deal for Britain?
Well, it depends absolutely on who you listen to. I was at the press briefing yesterday afternoon with the government, with the Business Secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, who say this is a great deal for Britain. India is one of the largest, fastest growing economies. It's been a deal 3 years in the making, and it's going to mean that exports like whiskey and cars, India apparently is our largest whiskey market, are going to be much better for British businesses because the tariffs will be reduced. Similarly, clothing from India, footwear, food will be cheaper, so good for consumers. That £4.8 billion a year that this deal is worth, that is not till 2040 ultimately, and it's only 0.1% of GDP. But lots and lots of criticism too, and several pretty bad front pages for the government, all to do with national insurance, because what's going to happen is that Indian workers coming here for up to 3 years will be exempt from paying national insurance, and so will their employers. Bear in mind that for British workers, the government has just increased employers' national insurance. So on the one hand, you've got more national insurance for British workers. On the other hand, you've got Indian workers getting an exemption. Now, the government will say basically nothing to see here. They've got similar deals with lots of countries. It's about increasing mobility. They've got a similar deal with the EU, a similar deal with the United States. But I think it is politically difficult, and what it's allowing is for opposition parties to really, really have a go. So both Kemi Badenoch and Nigel Farage have said that these are two-tier taxes. Kemi Badenoch has said two-tier taxes for two-tier Kia, and said that this is why when she was business secretary she wouldn't sign this off. Nigel Farage has described the deal as truly appalling and has accused the government of a betrayal of working Britain. So lots of controversy about this. Worth saying, it's got to go through a signing process, ratification, parliamentary scrutiny, so likely not to come into effect for about a year.
Thank you, Catherine. Let's have a look at some other stories you're waking up to on this Wednesday morning. King Charles has attended the world premiere of David Attenborough's latest documentary, Ocean, at London's Royal Festival Hall. The new documentary includes dramatic footage of the harm that fishing, and industrial fishing particularly, does to the environment. Sir David turns 99 on Thursday, and he says, after almost 100 years on the planet, I now understand the most important place on Earth is not on land, but at sea.
The Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada is not for sale. This after he met with US President Donald Trump at the White House. The two nations are currently in a trade war that's frayed bilateral relations. Speaking from the Oval Office, here's how the conversation went.
Having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale.
But never say never. Never say never.
The process to elect a new pope after the death of Francis begins today. Roman Catholic cardinals are hours away from the secret conclave. A two-thirds majority is needed to elect such a new pope, but a result is extremely unlikely today, as no one has ever been elected on the first day of a conclave for centuries. So that is 4 o'clock their time, 3 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
I think
I can't wait.
Yeah.
And my money's on Friday, because Pope Francis was elected in 2 days. I think they'll take it to Friday. Before the weekend, we'll have a new pope.
Okay.
That's what I think.
If you want to keep up to date with all the interest that goes on in Rome at the Vatican throughout the day, you can scan the QR code that is on your screen right now, or head to GBN2 on YouTube.
And you can keep your eyes glued to the chimney on the Sistine Chapel. Do you know they had to put that in themselves?
What do you mean?
The Roman fire crew were putting the chimney on the roof of the Sistine Chapel at the weekend.
So it's not a permanent fixture?
It's not a permanent fixture, exactly that. They have to put it there, especially so they can do the white smoke and the black smoke.
And the difference between the white smoke and the black smoke is a chemical is added.
They add a little additive to the papers when they burn them, and it's black smoke, obviously when there's no pope, and then the white smoke when they've elected a new pope. And there is the chimney that we're all going to be watching. It's tiny little chimney on the Sistine Chapel.
All eyes will be on
all the
it.
money in the world to be in that side that chapel.
Well, let's see what the wind's going to do with the plume of smoke on our Chiswick.
expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It could be quite a chilly start today, but otherwise warming up nicely, leaving most places fine and dry, though eastern areas could still feel a little bit of a chill. That's all thanks to a northeasterly flow of air, at times dragging in some cloud, possibly some showers, particularly around North Sea coasts and later on across central and southern parts, where it could be quite breezy for a time across southern coasts, but otherwise a largely dry and pleasant day ahead and feeling fairly warm in the sunshine for many, highs around 19 to 20 degrees Celsius, but always that bit cooler around North Sea coasts, particularly in the breeze. Then to finish off the day across Scotland, once again remaining largely dry. There could still be a fair amount of cloud, particularly across the very far north of Scotland. Shetland, for example, still at risk of a shower, but otherwise a mix of cloud and clear spells to end the day. And it should be a fairly clear end to the day too across Northern Ireland. But northern central parts of England, perhaps parts of the south, could see a bit more cloud. And there's still the chance of the odd shower, particularly moving into parts of East Anglia, eastern parts of England still to end the day. But overall, overnight, we've still got high pressure dominating, fairly light winds, so it's going to be a mix of cloud and clear spells. But under the clearest of skies, that is where we're going to see temperatures dip away, particularly across Scotland, moving into the low single figures here, but across central and southern areas, a bit more cloud, so temperatures not falling away quite as much. So some low cloud potentially to start as we head into Thursday, but clearing up nicely through the morning, allowing plenty more sunshine across the south central areas, probably a brighter day compared to today. But across northern areas, parts of Scotland, still once again a fair amount of cloud, and once again a chance this could be thick enough to produce the odd shower, but fairly similar temperatures, so still feeling pleasant in the sunshine, highs of 19 to 20 degrees Celsius.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now, imagine where you could be going this summer if you did win our biggest ever Great British giveaway. So you put it all together and you realise that the motorhome, the cash involved in all of this, creates a package that's worth over £72,000. And then you're thinking to yourself, I wouldn't mind winning that. I'll have a go.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with Skyroof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, from motorhomes to trains, and 18-year-olds being in charge, being the driver of a train, has got you talking this morning.
Yeah, let us know your views. gbnews.com/you'll say, would you trust an 18-year-old train driver? But first, we're going to be debating, should public sector pensions be capped? We're going to debate that next.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
You've got Cambridge versus Oxford tonight, although you might want to ring up Oxford and see whether or not they've actually heard of Kai. I think rankings is a great thing. When I was at university, it was very intense. Sure, it creates a really competitive atmosphere, but if you go to an elite university, you should expect a competitive atmosphere, because you should expect that by the end of it, you will be refined in fire to be amongst the best in the world at whatever subject you're studying. So I frankly think it's fantastic if you can weigh yourselves up against your peers. Obviously, it runs against the sort of pathetic wokery that we've seen in recent years. It doesn't want anybody to be able to see, how they measure up against other people. But I don't know whether this is woke or if it's just pathetic. But of course, I have it on good authority that Kai had a very healthy work-life balance when he was at Oxford. Maybe a little too healthy, wouldn't you say, Kai?
Well, it's no surprise that the Cambridge person on the panel is a bit boring.
Where did you go, Kai? Where did you go? Just for the record, where did you go?
Oxford.
Right, let's carry on.
And I do apologise to the viewers. You probably didn't expect to have two Oxbridge plankers on your screens tonight. Look, everybody knows where they stand in their classes. All the Cambridge has done is vowed to review class lists, weekend lectures, teaching outside of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Emma, you and I both know it's a tough slog.
Should be.
It's a difficult one. It should be. Our elite universities should be a place where you're tested to the limit. It is an assault course, You have 8 exams in 10 days to judge the entirety of your degree right at the end of it. But you don't need to be ranked in a public forum in your class to know where you stand.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Now, we're talking about pensions, and I'd always say to you, I glaze over when someone talks about a pension.
I think a lot of people do, yeah.
Yeah, but you will not glaze over when I give you figures here. If you're in, this is the NHS we're talking about, but this could apply to the Treasury Department, the Department of Defence, whatever. The number of NHS workers picking up 6-figure pensions, that is £100,000 plus. It could be 150, it could be £200. I don't know where it would stop, but more than 3,000 people collect over 100,000 quid per year just from their pensions.
Well, campaigners are calling for an end to what they say is a gold-plated pension scheme.
So we're asking, should civil service pensions be capped? Well, how's it got to this stage? To debate this, former editor of the Labour List, Peter Edwards, and international security and border control expert Henry Bolton.
Yes, good morning, gentlemen. Henry, let's start with you. Should we cap civil service pensions?
Yeah, I think the salary level for civil service pensions should be capped, yes. But, if we just put this into comparison, the Prime Minister earns around about, I think, £170,000 a year through his, through both being an MP and the fact that he's the Prime Minister. You've got the Chief of the General Staff earns around £195,000. These people are getting half of that just in their pension. It's quite, or more. It's quite incredible. But we do have to get this into perspective as well. There are about 1.1 million NHS pensions. The average pension is around about a little bit over £11,000. That's ordinary NHS workers. We're talking about 3,000 people here at the top end. Now, is it quite are we talking eye-watering figures, which I think are far, far too high? The answer is yes. But the way to deal with that is not to sort of attack the NHS On this, perhaps on other things, but on this, no, because we've got to actually sort of recognise that a lot of people are actually on fairly or much lower pensions than this. But so that whole disparity, and as you quite rightly say, Eamonn, this isn't just about the NHS. This is about the public sector. This is about people across the civil service and the fat cats. And I mean, we just had local government elections. Eye-watering figures from the CEO of Kent County Council, £660,000 this person earns per year, plus there's bonuses which can more than double that. So that's just on the salary. So the whole thing has lost proportion, I think. Here, that's the debate we need to have. We shouldn't just sort of be lumping ordinary NHS workers in.
No, I totally agree with you, mate. Totally agree. But from what I know, the little I know about pension saving, you require an awful lot of money, an awful lot to get anything half decent back. I mean, 11,000 quid. When I look at my lifestyle now, what's 11,000 quid going to do for me? It wouldn't keep me in petrol, basically. So, but we look at these other things. So. Henry, from your point of view, how do you justify that, or can you see a differential as to why it should happen?
I don't. I mean, I'm also sort of representing the Social Democrat Party as their spokesman on defence and security and foreign affairs, and I mean, from that perspective as well, what we need to do here is people need to be able to have good jobs, good futures, confidence in their future, economic confidence, confidence in their communities. But, so there is this disparity is absolutely massive. And as you quite rightly say, that amount of money going behind these pensions is just eye-watering. Well,
what are our eyes for us, Peter? What are our eyes? And tell us why you think that we should keep this or whether we need to keep this.
£100,000 is an enormous sum. It's an enormous sum for anyone to receive as a pension, and it's a very large sum for anyone to receive as a salary. So I think we could agree on that. And these numbers are going to be out of reach for many folk watching your programme this morning. I think the researchers by the Taxpayers Alliance, who are very open, they've got a long-term plan to undermine the size and the effectiveness of the UK state. And sometimes, they do their research, but sometimes they're a bit short on solutions. I'm not sure really what the proposal is here. Clearly, you have to honour an employment contract. The number on £100,000 are being paid for by you and I, because anyone who pays tax and national insurance is covering public sector pensions. I'm very happy to pay my taxes and support public sector pensions, but 100k is very, very, very high. I'm not sure what the Taxpayers Alliance are actually suggesting, though, because if the state failed to honour a contract of employment which included pensions, then the retention crisis in the NHS would deteriorate further.
OK, gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Let's know what you think.
That leaves you cold, does it? Just like, I can't speak after this. This is incredible.
Yeah,
we're talking about 100,000 quid, and it could be 300,000 quid that they're getting.
Could be anything over six figures, yeah? Let us know what you think on that one.
I'm just laughing at you because it's like pensions. But I think that's most people's attitude. Yeah. I mean, if you said to me, how much would you get him in, or how much? Oh, there's so many mistakes I've made in life with all of that. But, it's brutal. That is absolutely brutal. As an incentive, I mean, if you were being offered a job and somebody said, and the incentive at the end is you get 200,000 quid a year in pension, why not?
Lovely. Oh, yeah, you'd snap that up, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you certainly would.
Yeah, let us know what you think on that one. Now, if you're travelling to work or school this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. There is no exit from the M90 northbound to the A912 at junction 10 due to a traffic incident. Motorists should consider an alternative route. Resurfacing work continues on the M4 eastbound between junctions 23 Rogier and 22 Pilning, affecting the Prince of Wales Bridge, which remains closed. Diversions are in place. In South Tyneside, the A19 northbound, especially between the A184 and A185 junction, is congested due to ongoing traffic. In Hampshire, those travelling on the M27 westbound between junctions 9 and 8 can expect 30-minute delays. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Do stay with us, still to come. Breakdancing, BMX, and now possibly snooker. Could we see it sneak into the 2032 Olympics? Paul Coit will reveal all next.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is GB News, the People's Channel. This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Here's Paul with the sport. And when it comes to the Olympics, and I'm thinking of the Olympics in 2032.
Yes, Brisbane.
Is that where it is? Mm-hmm. What is regarded as a game? What is regarded as a sport?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because the WPBSA have decided, that's the World Professional Billiards and Snooker Association, would like snooker to be involved because they're looking at Zhao Xintong winning the World Championship on Monday.
And that Chinese audience.
Chinese audience. Let me ask you a question. How many recognised snooker halls do you think there are in China?
Oh, my
What do you
word.
reckon? China is a big country, but a snooker hall, lots of snooker tables in there. How many do you reckon there are in the country?
Is snooker big in China?
That's the question.
Well,
yes.
It is on the television.
I feel like this is a trick question.
It's not a trick question.
I'm going to say not very many.
Okay.
I'm going to say
I've never associated snooker with with China.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe it's everywhere. Maybe it's, you know, no idea. Put us out of
Shall I tell you?
Yeah.
300,000.
Oh!
Yeah. It's unbelievable. Snooker is just going like this in China. And this is where all the world champions are going to come from. Got Zhao Xintong. They're all coming through, and they watch. They're saying 150 million people watched him win the world title.
But I wonder, would they be interested in reviving... you've made me forget what I was going to say there.
Darts?
No, well...
Billiards?
The thing I did...
Pot Black?
Pot Black.
Oh, do you think so?
Well, if they did, I could get a job. I'd be regular over there, and I could be a massive star in China.
Eamonn, I've got to tell you, you've got to remember, you were the one that closed Pot Black. You were the last host. If it could have stayed on,
I forgot about that.
You still have that hanging over you, that you were the one that finished the whole thing off.
Yeah.
But they don't know that, so maybe...
They don't know that.
Maybe. Could I be Ted Lowe?
Whispering Ted.
Whispering Ted.
What a gentleman he was.
I don't think I'd make a very good whisperer.
Whispering Ted was a fantastic man. He drove a Jaguar.
Yes.
And, well, I think his wife did. His wife went everywhere with him, attached to the hip with him, absolutely incredible.
Nice.
And him and the wife went everywhere together. And I always remember he had this Jaguar, and he was the man. He was the man.
Yes. And so, the thing is, though, if you're in the car with him, which I know you were, could you... He was one of these people that you couldn't understand because you go... You go, what do you say, Ted? I've got a friend like that. You can't... whisperers. Very quiet. What are you saying? I can't hear. Anyway, Arsenal play tonight. Huge game for Arsenal tonight against Paris Saint-Germain. 1-0 after the first leg at the Emirates. I think they have a chance. I think Arsenal fans are a little worried about this, as they're going to be, because PSG is so good.
They're playing well.
But I think there's still a chance. Arsenal get an early goal. Who knows what's going to happen? Aston Villa are not very happy with Tottenham Hotspur. As a Manchester United fan, maybe you're not either.
This is because they've got to they will get to this European... You don't think so? Fingers crossed, OK?
I can't.
But if they do get to this European final, they have a game with Villa in the Premier League.
Yes, on the Sunday.
And they've asked... And the final would be when?
On the Wednesday.
Right.
So they're playing Villa, and Manchester United are playing on the Friday, which all fingers crossed, all things going well, touch wood and everything, Man United would have more days. And so if you're playing... And in Europe, they do that. They help out teams that are going into European competition. So Spurs have asked that it be moved. Aston Villa weren't happy about it, although they've agreed. So it's now going to be from Sunday the 18th of May. It's now going to be played on Friday the 16th of May. Aston Villa, I can understand that, because they'll be thinking, well, you know what, we'll play Spurs aren't going to put a great team out. Aston Villa are going for the Champions League. But if Spurs do get there, are they going to be playing Spurs at their best? No. So it shouldn't really make too much difference for Aston Villa. And I've got one more thing for you, which I do want to show.
The amazing baseball catch.
The baseball. So have a look at this. We say catch. The ball is flying over to this fella who is eating ice cream. Now, watch carefully. The ball comes over. Now, it's the coolest catch you would ever see. He's still holding the ice cream with his left hand.
He still has his ice cream.
Still holding the ice cream. The arm just goes up, boom, in there, and then he gives the girl on the right the ball. Obviously,
that would be me, because I wouldn't risk my ice cream.
You wouldn't give the ice cream?
I wouldn't drop the ice cream either.
Neither would I. I would have ducked, though.
That's amazing. He's got a bucket of ice cream, hasn't he?
Look at that.
Got a big bowl of it, but he keeps holding onto the ice cream.
But it shows what's important to him. He gives the ball away, keeps hold of the ice cream.
Yeah.
That's what he wants.
He's a gentleman.
No, he's got his priorities right.
If it was me, there'd be blood, ice cream, ball, people laying all over the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Appreciate that this morning. Dermot Doon, Norman Baker, they're going to go through the papers. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, not that those two need it, look at how healthy they look. Here's the forecast for top European destinations.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
An unsettled spell across parts of Europe, particularly across the Alps and southeastern Europe, where they're going to experience heavy showers and thunderstorms over the next few days. An area of low pressure could drag in some showers later across Madeira and Tenerife. Plenty of showers across Portugal and Spain, but it's really across the Alps, southeastern parts of Europe, where these showers are going to be particularly heavy and possibly thundery. Now, it should be largely dry across Greece and largely dry for all from Sunday, with temperatures in the low 20s, so feeling pleasant in the sunshine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
UK churches are under criminal attack. They reported 9,000 crimes within the last 3 years. In Bilton in Ainsty, lead theft from St Helen's ancient parish church roof caused significant water damage. 6 items were also stolen, including a historic pewter flask. Fearing reprisals, a church volunteer spoke anonymously about the impact of the crimes.
Financially, it just brings churches to their knees. It's hard enough now for churches to survive with dwindling congregations and ageing populations. Churches don't get any government money. There is no statutory funding which is available and comes into churches. So once you get theft, whether it's internal theft from items inside the church or lead from the roof, it's just a big expense. So any theft is hard to both administer and get over, apart from the trauma of losing items that historically are part of our heritage.
We need everybody to stand together on this. It doesn't matter if you're a person of faith or not. These buildings are so important to our country. They form the fabric of rural life up and down the great British countryside. They are community hubs. They are places that glue some really isolated communities together, a bit like our pubs. You know, these are precious parts of our heritage and we've got to protect them.
Theft and vandalism from rural religious sites are harder for the police to tackle.
We are so isolated, very remote, and churches are very often the focal point of communities. The Home Office funding formula really pays scant recognition of the challenges facing rural communities. Therefore, we don't have the resources big metropolitan areas have.
GB News, the People's Channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
So many questions to answer in terms of what's in the papers today. Norman and Claire have been doing very well today going through those. So, Norman, first of all, this is from the Telegraph, and the story is a very young councillor, he's 19 years of age, saying that they were Labour's youngest councillor, but they were bullied into resigning by the Labour Party. Tell me more.
Yes, this is because she has identified an issue, which I think is quite a sensible issue, of wanting to have CCTV in minicabs. Right. Because quite understandably, I think, young women might feel vulnerable to be in a cab with a driver late at night, for example. It seems to make a quite sensible call. She's been accused of racism by some of her Labour colleagues on the basis, presumably, that some of the drivers are Asian. Far from all of them, of course. There's plenty of other drivers who are not Asian, but that's the allegation. And she said she was bullied as a consequence of that and has been made to go independent as a councillor, which is a great pity because actually we need more young councillors on our councils.
Yeah, well, there we are with that 18 age bar again that we're talking about and what you are capable of. So here we go again. This whole idea, we've been down this with the grooming gangs and whatever. You can't touch people because they're of an Asian background. What do you think about that, Claire?
I think it's ridiculous that this young girl has been hounded out of her post as being a Labour councillor. And I think it's indicative of the Labour Party at the moment and their discourse and narrative in telling people what they can and can't do. My goodness me, they're great at that, aren't they? They're great at exercising control over what we can think, over what we can eat, over what we can say.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to be the party for all, the working party, do they?
Yeah. Should they not
ridiculous.
be asking why there are so many Asian taxi drivers and why they're not white taxi drivers?
I don't give two hoots. Right?
No, neither do I.
Neither do I.
But if I was creating
a taxi driver.
But here, if you have a row and you don't wish to appear racist, it's not her fault that they're all Asian.
It's completely not her fault.
They're not all Asian
and I tell
anyway.
you something else.
They're not all.
No, they're not all Asian. It's white. But there's also people who are driving minicabs.
But it's not her fault. She's a woman.
Of course not.
And this is a move to promote women's safety.
Exactly, Ellie. Exactly. And why can't the Labour Party see that? Why are they so misogynistic? Why are they so incapable of taking care of people? It's beyond me.
Looks like they lost a good councillor to me, anyway. That's the consequence of that.
And they've lost the ability for women to be coming into politics. This has been the old adage for years and years and years, that the way Parliament sits, it's not conducive to women, particularly because we can have children, and therefore you have to be at home with the child as a newborn if you're breastfeeding.
There's a lot more pressure on a woman as an MP, as a matter of fact, and a lot more hate mail online if you're a female MP.
And
well, she'll have to go and become a train driver. That's all she'll have to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, if you were at home with your kids and it's fish and chip night or whatever, there is a debate about what your sauce accompaniment should be for your fish and chips, and Heinz are involved in this, Norman. Tell us.
This is in the Sun, and this is Heinz have withdrawn Heinz tartare sauce, and have introduced Heinz fish and chips sauce.
So it's tartar?
That's the headline. Tartar to tartar.
Very good.
And as their users state, one of the users states, looks like tartare sauce. People who don't understand what tartare sauce is. In other words, this is all dumbing down the label because people don't understand what tartare sauce is.
So it's exactly the same recipe?
Apparently, it looks like the same recipe. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. No, I'm not a fan of that.
Oh, I love tartar sauce.
No.
Indeed. Well, fish and chip sauce now.
I'm surprised you couldn't say about tartar sauce becoming Indian style. Of course.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
So youngsters are just out of touch as to what tartar sauce is, and this would be a way of remarketing it. Is that right?
That's all it is.
What's it called, Norman? Fish and chip sauce?
Fish and chips sauce.
Yeah. Which is more difficult to say than tartar sauce.
Yeah, exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Make your own, that's what I say.
Claire,
make your own.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the Times, shall we? The NHS providing career advice on wards to break the vicious cycle of poverty.
This is a great initiative by Hampshire Council and Isle of Wight Council. £14 for every pound spent in this new scheme, £14 is saved. What they're doing is they're sending in key workers from Citizens Advice Bureau. They're sitting down with people who are broken in the social care system, who are broken in ordinary society, and they're actually enabling them. They're giving them authority. They're giving them agency in taking their life further once they're discharged from hospital. And I think it should be applauded, and I also think it should be rolled out across the country. It's so important that people have value, people have trust, people have a will, and people can actually do something with their lives and, as I said, have the agency to actually do it. We can't stop society, you know? We have to keep going, we have to keep evolving, and we have to keep thinking of new things that we can help people, because the mental health crisis in this country is skyrocketing. It's not fair on those that have to treat patients with mental health issues, but more so it's not fair for those themselves that are presenting with deep mental health issues. We need to help them as much as we can, because in helping them, we can only be a bastion of positivity for society.
All I'd say is, how do you fit it in? I mean, as somebody who's frequented hospital wards a lot over the past 7 years, every 2 minutes you can't ever even get asleep because someone will be tapping you on the shoulder, waking you up to give you tablets or to take your blood pressure or to do something. So I don't really understand how there is time to bring someone in to chat to you.
Well, there will be. They will make time, and they have made time, so it has worked. This is tried and tested. So it's people from the Citizens Advice Bureau, for example, that are clued up on, you know, logistics in terms of claiming benefits, helping people find housing. Often people need to... their problems need to be unlocked, and they can be unlocked at this level by a professional.
And they need pointed in the right direction.
Exactly.
And when youth unemployment is soaring, it's not a bad initiative, is it?
It's not a bad initiative at all.
OK.
Oh, Norman, should we look at this seagull screeching?
Yes, from the sublime to the ridiculous, in a sense, I'm afraid, on the stories here. I agree, by the way, with that initiative in Hampshire.
Yeah.
It's a very good initiative. The only thing I would say about that is that the Citizen Advice Bureau is rather short of people sometimes, so they need to get more people in the CABs to help out. But anyway, from the sublime to the ridiculous, this is a lad called Cooper Wallace, who has been crowned as the seagull screeching champion for the second year running. And this is a European-wide thing. He's over in Belgium doing this. And moreover, his 7-year-old sister, Shelby, now known as Sea Girl, has come in fourth in the contest. So they've done rather well as a family.
It's an amazing family trait.
It is. And they have to dress up
give
as...
you a taster of what he sounds like.
I got it right.
So this is what makes you then the EC gull screeching champion. Here we go.
3, 2, 1.
Please.
Yeah.
That's actually quite good.
Well, no argument with that. I couldn't do that.
That's very realistic. Can I do it?
You could enter that next year.
That's actually really hard to do.
Just do that again into camera 6. Just do that.
It sounds like a screeching dog, doesn't it?
Cooper has bagged a hamper full of crisps, chocolate and fizzy drinks, which doesn't sound terribly healthy, but no doubt he will enjoy it.
I hope his parents have got earplugs. That's all I can say. And for the passengers on the Eurostar coming home.
OK. How long have we got left?
2:20.
2:20. New single-sex hospital rules. Now, this was since the High Court ruling on all of this. And are hospitals able to adapt to this, do you think, Claire?
They bloom well better, because the place isn't safe for some women, nor some transgender patients either. We have, if someone's in hospital, they're clearly vulnerable, right? There's clearly something not right with them mentally or physically. So we need to take care of our patients. And by putting them in mixed wards, and when this first started years ago, I kept on saying then, as most of us did, that it's not right, OK? It really isn't right. Men are treated differently because of different aspects of their physiological health, as women are. And we need to have trained professionals that can deal with that. And why the lines were blurred, I don't know, and I just think it's ridiculous. And I think hospitals especially have to be a place of safety, they have to be a place of professionalism, and they have to be a place that people will feel safe. And they have to bring back single-sex wards. It was ridiculous that patients of any gender could get up in the middle of the night and walk around these wards of mixed patients. And I know it was beds. They would never have a male and a female in the same block as a bed, and yet the floors of the wards were still mixed. Bring it back and treat people with the dignity and respect that they have to expect and deserve. It's a no-brainer.
The Supreme Court judgment a couple of weeks ago, which was very important, because I think it's now being looked at. The consequences right across the public sector are being looked at, and I think that's exactly right. And you've got Wes Streeting basically encouraging this move now to look at single-sex wards, which we should have, of course. I think that's absolutely right. But I think that judgment is going to be very profound and affect how we look at things, and some of the unfortunate consequences of what we had before are going to be removed. Though I see Nicola Sturgeon still defending her position up in Scotland.
Well, it was all her fault that we're in this mess.
That's another one for another day. Guys, thank you both very, very much indeed. Have yourselves a good day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Not at all.
Let us know what you think on any of those stories. gbnews.com/you'll say. Let's get a check on the weather now with Honor.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
An unsettled spell across parts of Europe, particularly across the Alps and southeastern Europe, where they're going to experience heavy showers and thunderstorms over the next few days. An area of low pressure could drag in some showers later across Madeira and Tenerife. Plenty of showers across Portugal and Spain, but it's really across the Alps, southeastern parts of Europe, where these showers are going to be particularly heavy and possibly thundery. Now, it should be largely dry across Greece and largely dry for all from Sunday, with temperatures in the low 20s, so feeling pleasant in the sunshine.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Traffic is currently disrupted in several areas. The M74 northbound is restricted at Junction 8 due to animals near the carriageway. Drivers should proceed with caution and expect delays. The M4 eastbound remains closed for resurfacing between Junction 23 from Rogier to Junction 22 at the Prince of Wales Bridge, with diverted traffic. In Greater London, a collision on the M25 at Junction 28 anti-clockwise closed 2 lanes, causing a 15-minute delay. Hampshire reports a broken-down vehicle on the M27 westbound exit slip at Junction 3, with 1 lane closed for recovery. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
You could be the next big winner on the road in this brand new Alnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. Imagine the fun you could have in this luxurious home from home worth over £67,000. We'll also give you £5,000 in tax-free cash to make your next getaway a great one. And it could be all yours. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. India and Pakistan on the brink of war.
At least 10 people killed, dozens injured in retaliatory airstrikes on Pakistan following a rise in tensions.
As Pakistan declares an act of war, could the decades-long conflict escalate? Here's what President Trump thinks.
Been fighting for a long time. You know, they've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
Well, the British government is advising against all travel to the affected areas. Both India and Pakistan are reporting multiple deaths on their sides of the control line.
Very shortly, we'll be talking about what's been termed an historic free trade deal between Britain and India, but the Prime Minister is facing a backlash over fears it could introduce a 2-tier tax deal for Indian migrants.
From today, judges will be able to hand down tougher punishments to criminals who refuse to attend their sentencing. It's after a slate of high-profile cases.
The Conservatives have published their first bill as an opposition party. They're backing tougher deportation rules but fall short of calls to leave the ECHR.
It's game-changing. We're saying, as we did in office, that if you come to this country illegally, you should be detained and you should be removed.
Voting for a new pope begins today as cardinals from around the world descend on the Vatican to take part in the secretive conclave.
We'll be speaking to an author who's making sure our greatest generation is never forgotten through her writing wartime stories.
18-year-olds will now be allowed to drive trains as staff shortages reach a new low. We're asking this morning, would you feel comfortable with a teenage train driver?
Well, hopefully those last-minute nightmare train cancellations will become a little bit less frequent as 18-year-olds are given the permission to learn to become train drivers.
Hello there, good morning. After a chilly start, many areas seeing a fine and pleasant day, though there is the risk of the odd shower. To find out where, stay tuned and I'll have all the details.
1 minute past 9 on this Wednesday morning. Very good to have you on board. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast.
Leading this hour with India launching airstrikes on Pakistan, bringing the two nuclear-armed nations to the brink of war.
Well, it's the latest in a series of escalations between the two countries that all started when India accused Pakistan of orchestrating a terror attack on Kashmir last month that killed 26 people.
Now, this morning, the Foreign Office has updated travel advice. It urges against all travel to parts of India and Pakistan.
Well, joining us now is GB News Home and Security Editor Mark White. Good to see you, Mark. And this is a concerning escalation.
Yeah, good morning to you. It certainly is. Pakistan was braced for a retaliatory strike from India ever since that horrific terrorist attack on the 22nd of April, in which 26 people were murdered in Indian-controlled Kashmir in a tourist hotspot in that area. India had blamed Pakistan for effectively sponsoring and directing terrorist operations, something that Pakistan has denied. But that airstrike came, and it came quite significantly into the wee small hours in Pakistan, just about 1 in the morning, when 9 separate sites, both in Pakistan-administered Kashmir, but also in Pakistan proper, in the border regions around Kashmir, 9 sites attacked. India said they were sites that were linked to these terrorist organisations, training camps and other facilities controlled by the terrorists. That led to an immediate response from the Pakistanis with intense overnight shelling that's continued even into the morning, with sporadic shelling over that line of control between Indian-controlled Kashmir and Pakistan-controlled Kashmir. The latest death toll is India reporting that in their sector, in Indian-controlled Kashmir, 10 people have died and more than 20 injured.
And just in 10 seconds, Mark, Pakistan saying it's not going to end here.
No, and the real concern, of course, is that these are two nuclear-armed states. So the more that this intensifies, then the more worried people, of course, understandably will be. Yeah. The hope has to be that after an intense barrage of fire, perhaps there can be some de-escalation now.
Thank you, my friend.
Well, let's speak now to the Business Secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, who joins us on the line. Morning to you, Mr Reynolds. And let's stay on India-Pakistan, shall we, and that escalating tension between the two countries, obviously very concerning. Were you aware of India's plans to strike Pakistan?
No, they don't share that kind of information with us. You'll understand we've been monitoring the situation after the appalling terrorist attack in Kashmir some days ago and might have anticipated some kind of response, but we wouldn't expect the details of that to be shared with us, no.
Could you share the details of the trade deal with the Secretary of State? It's I want to understand it. I'm just not sure I see the full benefits of it. Could you explain to me why we're doing, or why you believe we're doing so well out of this?
I could, and I'm delighted to. So this is a massive deal that will benefit every part of the UK. It's the biggest trade deal we've done since Brexit. It's the best trade deal India has ever offered anybody. India is obviously a major economy, but it's growing so fast. It's the fastest growing major economy. And some examples of how this will benefit every part of the UK. So India is the biggest whiskey market in the world. We're pretty good at making that. The tariff at the minute is 150%. That halves immediately, then it falls to 40% in time. On electric vehicles, again, something we're very good at making, 110% tariff becomes 10% over time for the high-end vehicles that we specialise in. For lamb and salmon, iconic British products, it's a 33% tariff, and that goes to zero. And for services, even more exciting. So we get access to something no other country in the world has access to, which is Indian government procurement worth nearly £40 billion a year. Our own businesses can compete alongside domestic businesses in India. So for every part of the UK, this means more growth, higher wages, more jobs, more tax revenue, exactly the kind of things that will make a difference to people's lives and make them better off.
It has emerged, though, that Indian nationals that are moving here will no longer need to pay national insurance contributions for 3 years. So you have been accused of two-tiered tax for Indian migrants. Are you betraying British workers with this deal?
No, absolutely not. And I'm delighted to be able to clear this up unequivocally. So let's be clear. If you were an Indian national in the UK and you applied for a job and a British person applied for the same job, you pay exactly the same tax. This is a very specific situation that we already have for 50 other countries, where if you are an Indian national temporarily seconded to the UK or a UK national temporarily seconded to India, you don't pay both countries' tax systems. If you're a UK citizen, you pay into ours. If you're an Indian national, you pay into theirs. It just makes it easier to move people between companies for a short period of time. But we would never do any deal that undercuts British workers, that leads to any sort of two-tier tax system. I say again, we have this with 50 other countries, and I don't hear many complaints about that. I think what this is about, frankly, is people not being able to accept this is a major benefit. Well, the biggest trade deal we've done, as I say, since Brexit. Everyone's going to benefit. We should all be getting behind this, these things that we can do together to make every bit of the UK better off.
Yeah.
But for British businesses with no national insurance, it's going to be cheaper, isn't it, to hire Indian workers rather than British workers? And this is at a time when the Labour government is obviously trying to get more people into work. It just seems counterintuitive, doesn't it?
No, it wouldn't be the case. Just again, I say no one is being undercut by an arrangement of this kind. It means our people pay our tax system, Indian nationals pay theirs if they're temporarily, for business mobility purposes, seconded to each other's country. If you were recruiting someone, you pay the same taxes that are on it. Of course, even if you were transferring someone within a business, a multinational, to the UK, you still have to pay the NHS surcharge, you still have to pay the higher costs of relocating people, and it's only temporary. If you want long-term staff, you've got to recruit them in the UK and pay that. I say again, there is no impact whatsoever on the immigration system from this deal. No changes to the points-based immigration system. There are no guarantees of post-study visas that was in the public domain at one point as an ask. There's no changes in terms of visas for healthcare workers. There's a very modest change where a capped number of yoga teachers can apply for an existing visa in a way they couldn't before. I don't think we're going to be swamped, frankly, by Indian yoga instructors as a result of this. It doesn't impact the immigration system. It does impact jobs, growth, wages in every part of the UK, with a particular benefit for Scotland, the north of England and the Midlands. It's frankly exactly what we need.
How are you going to deal with people who are overstaying their visas, though? Because the last set of data that we have, which is actually from 2020 from the Home Office, Indian nationals were the largest group of overstayers by nationality at the time. I'm concerned that that is still the case.
Well, the point about people overstaying their visas and becoming illegal migrants rather than part of legal migration is a massive issue. You've seen a significant increase, actually, in deportations of people overstaying since the change of government, the Home Office cracking on with that job. So you're right to say you cannot allow a situation where legal migrants become illegal migrants. But the kind of people we're talking about, highly skilled people coming for short-term business mobility, to be frank, that is not the problem I think we're talking about in this area. I think what we have to do more broadly is bring the immigration numbers down. They've come down a fifth since since the change of government, but they're still too high. And we've got to think about who is coming. We've got a lot of low-skilled people relatively coming to the UK. I welcome talent coming to the UK, but we've got to orientate that much more to the highly skilled sectors that we need. And that is part of our plans as a government. But totally recognise public concern is high on immigration. What we inherited is not a good situation or a sustainable one. Got to bring those numbers down in a way that works with business. That's exactly what we're doing.
And Jonathan, when would we begin to see changes being implemented because of this agreement? How soon would that be?
Yeah, look, it takes about a year, 12 months on either side to put fully in place the measures that the trade deal covers. That's because we've got to put through Parliament here the changes in our tariffs. We'll have, for instance, cheaper clothing, cheaper footwear from India as part of things that we have offered to India but benefit our consumers. And the same on the Indian side, slightly different system there. And then for some of the tariffs, so if you take that whisky tariff, it halves immediately, and then there is a process over time where it goes down from 75%, the half rate, to 40%. Some things are removed immediately. The salmon and lamb tariff is removed immediately, access to procurement. So as soon as we implement the deal on either side, you start to get some of those benefits. We will see, for instance, immediately on ratification, a reduction in our tariffs paid to India of about £400 million. That rises to over £900 million over 10 years. India gets slightly less from that because our tariffs are already lower. That's why they're seeing some other parts of the deal to make sure it's fair and balanced. But look, good trade deals are good for both sides. This is great for the UK, for everybody of the UK, but I think it is good for both sides. Again, something we absolutely should celebrate and need more of.
Well, look, great to see you so enthusiastic about this. I hope it lives up to everything
Thank you very much.
that you think it will. And appreciate your time this morning. We've got to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Now, imagine where you could be going this summer if you won our biggest ever Great British giveaway. You could win a 4-berth motorhome worth over £67,000 and £5,000 in tax-free cash. Here's how.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, from motorhomes to trains now, and this is a big talking point that has got you going today. They are advertising now for train drivers. The catch is you can be 18 years of age, and you can be driving a high-speed train. So let's go to our man Adam Cherry, who's at Waterloo Station this morning, to tell us more about this. Are you thinking of changing jobs, Adam?
Well, to become a train driver, I think, I don't know, I don't think I'll be very good at it. But nonetheless, those who might be are the 18-year-olds who are, the 18-year-olds who are now eligible. They have permission to start the training. I mean, the argument is that the average age of a train driver at the moment is, I think, about 40, try and get my words out here, 48 years old. And, you know, several thousands of them are coming up for retirement in the next few years. And so reducing the age from 20 to 18 is going to help stop all those last-minute cancellations that bug so many of us on our work commutes throughout the week, and try and put some slack in the system. Of course, at the moment, if it's 20, people are making decisions for their careers at the age of 18 anyway, so lots of them are just sort of missing the opportunity. Heidi Alexander, the Transport Secretary, says it's basically about future-proofing the transport network, and it's a pretty effective and easy way to do it. It has overwhelming support within DFT, within Department of Transport and industry leaders. I'll just read you a quick quote from Mick Whelan, who is the General Secretary of ASLEF, which is the train drivers union. At the moment, young people who want to become train drivers leave school at 18, get other jobs, as I was saying, and miss out on an industry. Miss out as the industry doesn't wait around until they turn 20 to find a career. So hopefully it'll stop all those last-minute cancellations which annoy everyone so much.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it. Looks a nice day where he is there.
Yeah, looks lovely, doesn't it? I think it is cold, though.
But I was speaking to someone today who was embarking on a train journey today, and it'd be nice to be in a carriage, looking out the window, beautiful sunshine, and whether it was cold outside or not, it won't be in your cabin.
It won't be in the cab, no, and it will be wonderful views, wouldn't it?
We've got an interesting thing next. We've got an author whose mission is to teach youngsters about World War II. How's she going to do that? We'll find out right after this break.
Looking up, she shouts, "Look, Charles, it's a Spitfire!" And sure enough, the Spitfire flies straight towards them.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
VE Day, Ellie was there on Monday with the celebrations, with all of that, and there'll be more big celebrations tomorrow. And we're doing our bit all this week to make sure that, I suppose, people don't lose touch with their history.
Yeah, and it's really important that we don't lose touch with what happened during the Second World War. And that's why the author, Katrina Millard, has written Charlie and the Spitfire. It's released this week to make sure the stories of our veterans lives on.
Looking up, she shouts, "Look, Charles, it's a Spitfire!" And sure enough, the Spitfire flies straight towards them.
Yeah, well, all you have to do is to hear that Merlin engine and everything comes alive. And Katrina is here in the studio with us this morning. Is this your first book?
I have written some children's books for younger children, but this is the first one that's been published.
Well, congratulations to you. And what was your motivation behind that? Tell us who inspired you.
My son, actually, when he was little, I just felt I wanted to pass those stories on to him because his family is quite small, so there weren't the opportunities for that information to go to him in the same way that it come to me. And it was just one day I had a vision of my son playing in the park with my husband, and the first line of the book came to me, but then gradually over the years, the book morphed as more stories came to me and demanded to be included.
And you've crafted this book, haven't you, over 14 years. Where did you get the information from?
Lots of it came from my family, from my grandma and granddad. We would sit together at Sunday lunches, always a black and white war film afterwards, and then all the old stories would come out. All the major stories, like the miracle of Dunkirk, the story of all the people who lost their lives working for the SOE, all the films would just spark old memories as well, and it sometimes felt like they were my memories because they were so deeply ingrained in me.
But Katrina, you paint a scenario there which I can identify with very well. We're probably in the same sort of age band there. And that idea of the Sunday matinee, the black and white film, carve her name in pride, you know, all those sort of things that went on. And then I was also, my education of World War II was supplemented by comics. Because, you know, as a 10-year-old or whatever, the Victor and the Hotspur and all these comics had commando stories and war stories in them, and you become quite good at knowing what went on. But on top of all that, which is what you talk about here, the older people, the grandparents, say, oh, when this happened and we were bombed here and we had to go there. And in truth, Ellie, we didn't believe them. The start was saying, what do you mean the windows blew out of the house? And, and you think, he's making that up, he's making that up. And you realise, no, they're not making it up.
No. But we are losing that storytelling, aren't we, with that generation?
Yeah, we are. I mean, the stories, simple ones, where my grandma and her siblings were going to be evacuated to Canada. And the moment my great-grandfather saw them on the deck of the ship, he suddenly felt, this is wrong, and had a strange feeling and just took them back off the ship again. And that ship was torpedoed and all those children sadly were lost.
Oh, my God.
And the strange links is that my husband's mother and her mother were being brought back from Canada, back to Britain, on a ship that received one of the distress calls. And they said, sorry, we can't stop because there's a torpedo on our, there's a U-boat on our tail running for our lives. And so in that 1 minute, both sides of my son's family could have been wiped out.
Oh, my gosh.
Which is quite
That just brings it home, doesn't it? I've got goosebumps.
So, you're doing what you're doing. Do the youngsters today, and I don't know what age group, you tell us what age group we're talking about there, can you really grab their attention? Are they interested or are they into, computer games?
Well, because my son obviously likes his computer games as well, and obviously being an English teacher with years and years of experience of reading and teaching books, I know what hooks to provide for the students to get them interested in the story. So there's a lot of action in there. I keep punctuating it with lots and lots of action, which Charles experiences firsthand. He goes back in time and meets my grandfather.
Oh, that's so lovely.
He was called Jam Jar, but he goes back in time and meets him. And then they experience all these events, including flying in Spitfire.
Wow, which is every boy's dream.
Charlie and the Spitfire.
And mine as well.
Yeah. Katrina, lovely hearing from you. This book is available in shops?
It's available from today, published by the Bruges Group, and it's available on all platforms.
And that little video we saw there, Charlie and the Spitfire, there was some sort of video there, is that?
That's right, that's a promotional video to go with it.
As well.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's fantastic what you're doing, it's so important.
Well, Katrina, what we can do for you now, we can actually speak to a man who served in the Second World War. He was near retirement at that stage, but he's still going. He's still going here in the studio today.
How are you?
Fine, my friend.
We are actually talking to a veteran.
Are you?
We're talking. She is 98. She's called Joy True. She was a wireless operator. She's being inducted into the Bletchley Park.
She was talking to the Prime Minister the other day, wasn't she?
And she was sitting next to the King on the raised platform, and the King actually tucked her in under a blanket. So She's coming to the studio, so we're
Oh,
really looking forward to it.
Well, that's brilliant. We've got the whole theme going on. Anyway,
Brilliant
thank you,
stuff, Andrew.
Andrew. Have a good show.
We will, and of course, we can now go to the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It could be quite a chilly start today, but otherwise warming up nicely, leaving most places fine and dry, though eastern areas could still feel a little bit of a chill. That's all thanks to a northeasterly flow of air, at times dragging in some cloud, possibly some showers, particularly around North Sea coasts and later on across central and southern parts, where it could be quite breezy for a time across southern coasts, but otherwise a largely dry and pleasant day ahead and feeling fairly warm in the sunshine for many, highs around 19 to 20 degrees Celsius, but always that bit cooler around North Sea coasts, particularly in the breeze. Then to finish off the day across Scotland, once again remaining largely dry. There could still be a fair amount of cloud, particularly across the very far north of Scotland. Shetland, for example, still at risk of a shower, but otherwise a mix of cloud and clear spells to end the day. And it should be a fairly clear end to the day too across Northern Ireland. But northern central parts of England, perhaps parts of the south, could see a bit more cloud. And there's still the chance of the odd shower, particularly moving into parts of East Anglia, eastern parts of England still to end the day. But overall, overnight, we've still got high pressure dominating, fairly light winds, so it's going to be a mix of cloud and clear spells. But under the clearest of skies, that is where we're going to see temperatures dip away, particularly across Scotland, moving into